phones because Atlas has been super low for carrier locked phones. 12 and 13, like Atlas is really low right now. So we've been just buying them and parting parts out. If we can part out a charge port and make $125 just for the charge port,
Yeah,
that's money there. So that's what we've been doing differently. And it's yeah. The market's been weird lately with phones. It's been a weird market.
agreed. Seems like it's either hit or miss. I see people either saying that they're doing good, or people are like, "Hey, what the hell's going on? Is anybody busy? Is everybody else dead?" So it's either
Honestly,
there's
we had an
nothing in between.
abysmal February. February was abysmal. Like up until last Friday, we were God, it's like 13 grand or something for the month. Really low for my shop. We
Mhm.
should be at least $1,000 a day. My ads guy may or may not have upped the budget by $28 a day because Google finally released their suspension on our account. So now we're at $30 a day ad budget. We have done over $1,800 a day the last 5 days. And we
Nice.
are sitting at 21,700 for the month or something, not even including today, just including yesterday. So I don't know how the market's been. It's weird. People are repairing, people are buying, but it also seems like nobody has any money. Definitely seeing a lot more credit card transactions than cash lately. Lots of plastic getting used.
Sounds about right, actually. I feel like what was it? Just 2 or 3 days ago, I saw they just updated like the amount of like credit card debt is just like, obviously always increasing, but it's like, always reaching new highs, and it was like a new high again. So I definitely think we're gonna see that for a little while until things kind of turn around, but that takes time. Nothing's instant, as much
I
as we want it to
spend
be.
credit for my business because I leverage the credit for my business. So I learned how to kind of do that last year, screwed myself up with a personal loan last year, learned a lesson, paid off the personal loan just today. And I've been
Nice.
working on trying to figure out how to utilize the credit better. So personally, I really don't do a lot with credit personally. I honestly just try to buy things in cash. If I can go somewhere and just like have cash in my pocket, like I'll go grocery shopping with cash. I'll go buy something with cash. It's been nice just to spend like that. I've been trying to keep things off of the plastic in case we have a couple bad months or something and I'm not able to pay myself or something like that. I don't have an emergency fund because I'm not smart enough to have one of those, but I need to at least have myself backed up in case, I don't know, in case something happens. Plus, I don't want debt. I don't like having debt. I really don't. I get leveraging credit. I understand it. I really get stressed out when that credit is up there because
Most
no matter what, it's always there.
most people just don't have the self-control, right, to actually properly utilize credit. Most people start to, maybe that's the intention whenever they maybe start using it, but it always ends up being something more than that. It comes like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna use this for business. Then it's like, oh, we could do this or we could do that, and it's like your intentions turn more. I feel like because it's like, oh, it's available, I have it, and I think the internal greed or ways that you want to look at like having the ability to do something you may have not normally been able to do without that credit gives you that like, oh, if I could just turn this, flip this device or this lot into this, and I'll 2x my
Mhm.
return, and I'll pay that off, and I'll have some extra money. I feel like that's just like the way it always goes, and that's why a lot of people I feel like in our industry just don't have credit, business credit at least, right? Most people don't understand the concept of it, or probably shouldn't have it because they
We use
can't,
it for parts. We use it for our parts. We don't use it for inventory because I have found that it's I don't want to pay 3% credit card fees to these companies for buying inventory. I also just don't buy my phones from wholesale dealers. I just can't work on those margins. So I've been, it's something you slowly get better with. You figure out what to do and what not to do. What screws me up is I'm young, so my credit history is not super high. And so I just don't have high limits for my business. I have 5,000 on one card, I have 5,000 on the Amazon card, and like that's what the business has. Okay, we blow through $5,000 on one card within days.
Yep.
Especially if somebody wants to purchase, a $2,500 computer, because we're going to put all those points. Now we're going to put all that on the credit card. Then we're going to make those points. I mean, we've already made like some like $1,000 in points this year or something like that. I mean, the points make up for learning about the credit, but we also try to keep it low. And I'm also trying to buy a house. So in general, I'm trying to keep all the cards below 40% all the time because that's what the lender told me to do for the next year is to keep each card under 40% before they're due, when they're due, every single time,
30.
just let it go.
And
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, 30 is the highest most people even say to have them. But yeah, I mean, clearly
Low
paying them off
limits
before the
suck.
statement.
Low
Mm.
limits
I
suck
always
because it feels like my credit gets so high when it's not even that fucking high for me. It's like, oh my God, like I got 4,000 out of 5,000 filled up, and it's just like, that's not that much. Like, it's
just do
not.
what I just wake up every morning and just pay
Pay.
your credit card.
Yep.
I
Just
started
don't use
paying it
your
off
credit
every
card as
month.
a credit card. Just literally use it as cash. That's what I wake up every day and then I'll look at my balance and I'll just hit pay every single day. I mean, you don't have to do every day, but that's what I'll do. I'll wake up, I'll look at my balance and I'll
That
pay
doesn't
it.
hurt your credit score because I've heard by multiple people that
Mm-mm.
hurts your credit score.
No,
No, paying it doesn't.
no.
Having a balance hurts your credit score. Your credit utilization is a massive factor of what you have, what you're using on there. So if you're not paying it daily, that's fine. But the day that your statement comes out is
Pay.
Yeah,
Yep.
it
less
gets paid by
matter
then.
because if
I
your
don't hold
statement shows
much
you're
unless I have a
using
crappy month.
yeah, if your statement shows you're using 40%, then that's showing you're using 40% for that entire month. That's going to affect your credit.
no.
Now, if
Yep.
you pay a couple days beforehand and you're showing you're using only 3%, then that entire month you could still maximize your whole credit if you wanted to, max it out, and it's not going to matter. But just use it as cash. Don't use it as a credit card. Put everything on the credit card, but just only use it if that money's in your checking account. That's
That's
simple as
what I
Yeah, we
just
have
did with the house call that we just did. It was $1,000 house call because I went to Best Buy and bought them a brand new computer. Well, I put the brand new computer on the credit card, and then I was like, okay, well, when they pay me, I'm just going to take that money and go right, right back on the credit card so that I get that balance done. But I've been focusing this month on paying off, my personal loan I took last year to build my credit, which it did build my credit at, the cost of interest. Um, but I paid off the personal loan, then I paid off like another 12 or 13 grand of credit card debt. But that's like, it feels like it's every month, and it feels like I never can get ahead of it, even if I pay it down to zero, because it just gets filled back up. So I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if my limits are just too low to be able to utilize credit like what I want to, but it feels like I don't utilize it well because the limits are low and I always have to pay it off with available cash.
don't use it as
do
credit.
you ha yeah,
Simple as
So
that.
either that or get a better partner. I mean, we got that Capital One cash back
yeah, that's what I use.
business card, and we have over $100,000 of
Yeah, I got five. I
credit.
got five. You're lucky. 100.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't know
well,
what I
we
would
pay
do
it
with a
off. I
hundred
mean,
grand. That would
we
be
don't do
bad.
it. Yeah, we don't do it every. I mean, we don't pay it every day. I just we with the amount of transactions we process, it's silly. So we do, once a week, and then by the end of the statement balance, it's paid off, so we don't get hit with that,
A
with
hundred
the
grand
interest on
credit
that.
card is wild. What the hell?
Well, it's not how much we owe. It's,
Oh, I
what our
know. Just
limit is.
yeah, yeah. You could go out and buy
I
a
mean, if
car.
you have a $100,000 limit, then that gives you a nice safety net of being able to use 10,
Yeah.
30,000 with it not mattering at all, even if it hits your statement.
That was my thoughts about it. It feels like I just like I want to utilize the credit, but it feels like to utilize the credit, it fills my, thing up. I guess I mean I might just start paying it off every day, but I was told by multiple people it was bad to pay it off every day and it was bad to have a zero balance on the credit.
No,
Talking to the
no.
wrong person.
I hate credit. I've talked about it before. I hate it. It's the most it's evil. It's honestly evil what they do to you with credit.
And
Credit
on top
ruins
of it,
everything.
I mean, you paying it off like that, it's only going to show like them how serious you are about it. It's going to increase your ability to
Hmm.
increase your limit and get a higher credit limit, right? Like that's how I've always done credit cards in the past is like consistently just use that one for whether it's 3 months or 6 months and just like Nick's saying, use it for anything that I would normally be using my cash for, pay it off, whether it's every Friday, so my balance is ready on Monday, whatever it may be. But that there would increasingly give them data back showing that I'm always paying it down, I'm always making payments, and I'm always staying underutilized, they're going to constantly raise my limit because they want to test me, right? They want to see me start using higher limit.
So
Yeah.
using it as like a debit card, and what are you guys saying? Like pay it off next day, pay it off like once a week, or like
The
buy
thing
stuff
that
and
I'm
pay it off the
hearing
next
you
week?
say is you keep saying, how do I utilize credit? But it's it's not. You're not utilizing credit. You're using the money that's in your account and then
Mhm.
just happening to
Paying it
using
off.
a different card.
Yeah.
That's all. You're
Okay.
not using that at all. You're just using a different card. It just happens to be a credit card that you're paying with your debit account. That's it.
Yeah. That's pretty much the way that we operate with it too. I mean, because I would much rather a credit card get hacked and compromised than my bank account.
I
So
see I see where
that's
you guys are going with it. You guys don't really try to use it to leverage it to keep cash in the account. You
oh
just
hell no. Fuck no. No, because it no,
I've
because
heard so
guess
many
what? At the
different
beginning
sides
of the
with
day,
credit.
because at the end of the day, if you're posting your transactions correctly on your profit and loss statement, then anything that you're buying with a business credit card is getting posted as an expense, and that lowers your income at the end of the month. So even if you're like, hey, I've got $100,000 worth of free credit, let me stock up on inventory, and then guess what, now you're negative fucking 100 grand on your P&L, and now
Honestly,
you
it's
got to
just
find a way
parts
to
and
make that up
bills.
quickly. You just gotta, it'll come over time. Honestly, it's not gonna happen overnight. It is gonna take time,
To
but
me, it just feels
you
like we're
can't abuse it.
generating all this revenue, but it doesn't feel like we're generating revenue because after we pay off all the credit cards, there's nothing left every single month after we pay off the credit. Like it's wild to me that this is how it's working. Oh, they're here for the
Well,
computer
then
bill?
maybe you have a gross margin problem.
Oh, can you crap? I didn't tell him. The power supply that
Just mute him.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, no, I mean you're right what you just said. I mean, if he feels like he's behind, then there's something more going on, right? Like that becomes dialing in more into the
yeah,
numbers at that point, right? Or if it feels like you're falling behind, I mean that's where you need to kind of look back and see what's causing you to fall behind because there's obviously an additional expense somewhere that's adding up that you're not taking into, account for, and that's throwing you off because you should feel
yeah.
confident,
And what are
obviously, if
your
you're purchasing daily like that.
yeah, and what are your? I mean, a lot of it's gonna tie into your gross profit as well. Like, what are your profit margins? Like, if you say, oh, hey, we made X amount of total revenue, we should have money flowing in the bank. But the reality is, you're only producing like 5% gross
you want to get the
profit on
pizza?
it.
So
Then you're
our
not going to have
POS,
anything left.
we switched to Tony's system for our POS. So quite frankly, and everybody will probably go crazy hearing my margins, but I've been really on point with my employees doing inventory, checking people incorrectly, making sure that the prices are correctly, not missing a dime, month inventory counts, weekly purchase counts, everything like that. Our gross profit margins, and this doesn't include really anything wholesale or any really, I guess, per se buybacks that we buy that people have and then we sell, a month later, 2 months or so, we're operating at about a 70% margin. So I figured that out with the POS, what the actual store is, but what's going through in the actual bank account, that's a different story because we have Google ads, then we have Facebook ads for buybacks. Personally, like I said, I've been taking care of a lot of personal, things from the past, like my car. Everybody knows my car, keeps haunting me. So I've been trying to take care of my, those things. So like if I could pay off my car, I paid off that loan this morning. I'll save 906 a month in my personal finances. And the way my business is ran is it's all somewhat personal. LLC, it's personal-ish. But I try to keep money in the business. But we're always constantly buying inventory too, because I always wanted to not be stuck with not having inventory. And I don't want to say that the business has not profited because I've been able to pay my employees. I've been able to pay my astronomical rent. I've been able to pay my car. I've been able to feed myself. I've been able to go to the doctor. I've been able to do all of this stuff. So I don't feel like I'm completely broke, but I really feel like I should have like 20 or 30 grand in the bank account at, all feels weird to me that
How
maybe I'm
much do you
thinking
spend on
about it all.
ads?
What?
What percentage of your revenue is your marketing? Are you allocating towards marketing
So we
currently?
operate at about 25 to 30 for the last year. Since last January, it's been about
Wait,
20 to 30,000.
25 to 30, oh, thousand.
Yeah,
Okay.
just gross rev. Yeah, gross
I
revenue. So with ads, we spend 600 a month on Google for buyback ads, and except for
Is that
this month,
just ad spend or is that
that's
ad
just ad
spend?
spend. Yeah. So
okay.
we
So
spend
how
about
much is your
that.
total ad spend?
600 plus maybe like recently it went way up because Google unsuspended us. So our ad spend went back up to went to like $30 a day, which I have yet to do, which has really been paying off. So 900, 600. We don't really pay like I'm probably at like a good 2000 somewhere, like a good $2,000 in ad spend with marketing and everything.
Okay, so $2,000, that covers your ad spend plus the cost of managing.
I would say like yeah, I would say like maybe add like another 500 for managing. Honestly, I got really
Okay.
good prices from the companies that helped me.
And what's your monthly revenue average?
25 to 30. So you say like 27. Like we're
27?
yeah.
Either A, you have a conversion problem. B, there's something going wrong with your marketing.
You think
Um,
so?
you're at 9%. I'm at
What it,
5%. You should be aiming, like when you're starting off, you should be aiming at about 5% of your total revenue gets reinvested into marketing.
oh, I
Some
would
people
also
go to
say
10%.
the 600 for Facebook ads is that doesn't the store doesn't the store doesn't always see that, if that makes sense. So we sell things wholesale. We sell a lot wholesale, like another 5 to 7 grand a month or whatever wholesale. So we sell a lot of things wholesale. So that 600
But is that
is
amount
really close
included in the 27,000?
to yes and no. That amount I really don't. That amount is
Okay.
really
So
buyback.
if we just do like 2,000, I
Like
mean,
my
now you're
store,
down to
like
eight.
my store
Now you're
ads,
down
like
to
repair
8%.
ads. Yeah,
Yeah.
repair
Now you're
ads
down
are
to 8%.
900. What?
Now you're down to 8%.
8%.
So I think if you have that money to spend, like if you say, hey, I have $2,000 to spend total, or 2,500, whatever the amount is, you should start off by looking at dialing that in to about 5% or increasing your revenue, watching your conversion rates, figuring out exactly what is going on in your marketing.
Honestly, I don't know
Like, do you
how the
know how
hell
much
people
of
know
your
their conversion rates. We have lots of people who refer us to, so we are a huge referral business. At the same time, we have people that say that they see us on Google, but the only thing we really cannot close over the phone, uh, we close most sales over the phone. If it's a computer sale, it's automatically closed because we're the best in the area and everybody really knows that. If it's a phone sale, I just flat out cannot beat CPR. I've accepted it. I flat out cannot beat that CPR location. They are on top of their phones. They are on top of their parts being they have parts in stock. Like they have every Samsung screen, every iPhone screen. I have all the iPhone screens, but I don't have all the Samsung screens. That's the only thing we can't convert. And I don't know how to add more to my business, to be honest. We do
can
buybacks.
you
We
price
run
match?
what?
Can you price match?
I don't really think I don't know if it's really the price that's the issue. I think it's just the
Are
fact
you
that
talking
CPR has
yourself out of
every
the
single
repair?
part. Huh?
What's
Are
the
you
issue
talking
with
yourself out of the repair?
why can't you, because
So for the
competition is
longest
everywhere.
time, okay, so for the longest time, as everybody knows this, Apple had issues with or not Apple, but the suppliers had issues with Pro and Pro Max screens. So for the longest time, I've only offered OEM. We just started offering aftermarket. I'm a business that offers lifetime warranty. I strongly believe that somebody should just pay money and have it done better. And I don't want those headaches. We don't get those headaches for a reason, but it does alienate a lot of us, a lot of it. So we started
Who
offering those.
I
who do you
see what's
source your
happening.
parts
I
from?
see.
Mobile Centrics and phone LCD parts. Mobile Centrics, honestly, I'm gonna go away from because they have pissed me off a lot lately. Four late shipments in a row. Two of them they didn't even ship them out on time. So
Yeah.
been a little upset lately, but I've been nervous at the parts. I don't care the fact that I can warranty it for the customer. It's a pain in the ass for me. It's a pain in the ass for my techs, and it's a pain in the ass for that part.
What
That's
quality of
that's
part are you ordering from them?
I am just going based on what everybody has said in the group. I have yet to even put an aftermarket screen on a pro phone.
Okay.
you're missing out,
But
man.
Yeah,
Big
that
time.
that
I've done it all
yeah,
the time. I don't
that's
think.
yeah, that's where
Yeah.
you're
I do
so I finally started
Exo
doing that.
screens all the time.
Exo
Exo 7 screens all the time.
Exo 7 2.0 soft, not hard, because that
Always,
shit's gonna
always
break.
soft.
But
Yeah.
you're gonna want to do Exo 7 2.0 soft, right? That's gonna lower the cost of the repair down to be more competitive with CPR, right? You can still continue to offer your lifetime warranty because we do that as well.
Yeah.
We do lifetime warranty against any part defective issues, unless it's a battery repair, and then we only offer a 1 year warranty.
Yeah, same exact as
And
me.
phone
So
LCD is still offering $5 next day shipping.
And one
yeah,
thing
I don't
that is
use
always
them, unfortunately.
one thing
They're
that is
really
always
good.
not the biggest thing about my business, and I did tell the ad company about this, and maybe I should retarget the ads more towards something different, is majority of our phone calls are not phone repairs. You know, we get plenty of phone repairs. We get plenty of referrals from Batteries Plus, but the majority of them are not phone repairs. The majority of them are gaming consoles, which is $150 for PS5 HDMI ports, and then
Mhm.
Windows installs and SSD upgrades and everything. So we just upgrade, our Windows install price to 125 instead of 100 because Windows has just been a pain in the ass lately to do things with.
Wait,
Charge 150.
raise it higher. Try 150.
I do 150 plus parts, and I will get 225 for an SSD upgrade.
Well, I'll get 225 for an SSD upgrade as too, but for just a blank Windows install, like I just reset this.
Nope, a flat rate 150 plus parts,
160.
everything.
I do 160, but it generally, you can get 150, 160 for an OS install, whether it's Windows, Mac, doesn't matter.
Even battery repairs, I do 150 plus parts.
It's kind of crazy to think that you're doing the numbers you're doing right now, but you're not really doing the phones. Like if you
We're
keep
not crazy
focusing on
with
what you're
phones. We've
doing and
never
you
been crazy.
actually focus on doing more phones, you're talking about bringing in numbers of upwards of, 40 to 60 a month.
Yeah.
Like you just
You
start
guys think
focusing
we do
on
more
Easily.
phones.
phones? It's storing all the parts in stock. So right now I'm waiting on a Mobile Centrics RMA to go through. When that Mobile Centrics RMA goes through, I was going to use all that RMA money, buy every iPhone charge port, buy every iPhone speaker.
Just
That
go
was my
slow.
No.
Go
Invest
slow.
in screens. Go
Yeah.
Well, I
slow.
have the
Start
screens. I have
honestly.
screens. I've got screens right
Okay.
now. Like I said, I just
iPhone
started
screens.
offering it for markets.
Yeah, I mean the vast majority of the U.S. population has an iPhone. So
So don't
Samsung's
stock Samsung. Let
I don't.
CPR.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to and what not to stock because
I don't
obviously
know. I'll
everybody
stock an
has.
S23 Ultra all day long because I've gotten them back to back to back to back.
Yeah,
Interesting. I don't stock them because I don't feel like I get the calls to tell me or to tell me, hey, you should, keep the every once in a blue moon, like somebody called for an S22 Ultra, but the last
Just
time
keep
somebody
going.
called for an S22
But
I
are you
would say
marketing
stock
it?
the Ultras only.
What?
Are you marketing it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Are you bringing awareness to it? Is going to be my question. Like, yeah, you're not going to have. I mean, I love to play devil's advocate with my team when they're like, hey, when I'm like, hey guys, let's go ahead and sell, this, and they're like, oh, well, we don't get calls for it. Okay, well, let's get calls for it. Let's start marketing it. Let's bring awareness around it. As soon as you start doing that and start focusing on it, right, where focus goes, energy flows. So if you start bringing awareness and focus to it, then that's going to help increase
So
that particular area.
should I tell my ads team to take the focus off of game and console or game and laptop repairs because we already dominate that even without ads?
No, because guess
No.
what? Somebody else is going to swoop in and pay for those ads as well.
Yes, and no. We don't have competition for that in the area at all.
Okay. Yeah, so we pay.
We're literally the best with computer repairs. I am confident to say that where I'm at, we are the best.
Got it. Well,
Phone repair
just to
is
give you a
fine.
little bit of perspective, whenever somebody searches for computer repair in our area, so our business name is Computer Warriors, right? Obviously, computers is what we thrive in.
Sure.
I still pay for ads in that area or in that space because even though I consider myself the best. I mean, we have 1,265 4.9 rating Google reviews in a one location, over 2,000 out of another. But I got my local service ads, I got my Google search ads, I got my map ads, I got my local SEO ranking. So
We're doing
they pretty
SEO this
much,
year as well.
I am pretty much like flushing out the competition to ensure that they don't get a leg up.
So how do you flush out the competition without paying more for Google's? If I already have my referral business down pat and we already have Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T, well, they used to send us people until that CPR opened, and now, T-Mobile, of course, sends them all to CPR. AT&T is right by CPR, so sends them all to CPR. So we have a GameStop and we have a Batteries Plus. Well, we have every
Mhm.
Batteries Plus within an hour from us send repairs to us. We have people that drive from an hour and a half to come get repaired with us based on, all of that. So I don't think it's the problem. I just don't know how to reach more. Like we're already doing so much and we're already offering so much. I mean, other than always offering the aftermarket for the pro instead of starting out with the premium price. I
Are
know
you
that.
marketing to your existing customers?
Yeah, that was going to be one of my next questions.
No, no, it's because I don't like cold
Shame.
You
calling and
know
I
what
don't
Ben
like
would say.
Why are you cold
cold
calling?
emailing, cold emailing,
What?
cold calling, marketing. How would you market to your old customers?
Email
Oh
marketing.
man, I do. Yeah. So let me go ahead and pull it up. I'm not going to share my screen, but I'm going to pull it up. So, um, obviously, the first thing that we send out when a customer gets a device fixed with our store is we send a 2-week follow up automatically, right? Just to check in on them, see how they're doing, see how their experience was. If there was any problems, to let me know, and then we move on from there. Right after that, here we go, drip marketing. So right after that, we have a 2-week after the 2-week follow up. We then send them a email for protection plans. So I know Laura, she does protection plans just like I do. So we'll
Yep.
send them an email that says, "Hey, you had a computer fix. Let's help it stay protected." Educational information around that. After that, we send a referral email saying, "Hey, we love referrals. If you had a good experience, share this email with a friend, family member. They get $20 off. You get $20 of in-store credit."
We
Uh,
tried doing that. It did not work very well. We had people that came in, but they didn't bring
consistency,
a referral card.
consistency, and that is what you're going to find. Is you're going to find people are going to share with you. But guess what? As soon as you get that customer that says, "Hey, Chris sent me in here. They had their phone fixed." Well, guess what? I'm going to put that in my referral system that Chris sent this customer in, and I'm going to look up Chris's information. I'm going to send him a personalized, I'm going to send him a thank you letter. I'm going to write it out, and I'm going to say, "Hey, Chris, thanks for sending Josh in for, he got this phone fixed, and I'm going to give him, maybe I'll send him a gift card, a $20 gift card, just as a thank you." Right?
Going the extra
That's going to
step. Yeah.
encourage that behavior. I also do, we do drip marketing around the holidays. So,
Is that
I mean,
a
we have,
platform or is this something that you
I was
call it?
about to say, what is drip marketing?
so I have it tied. So I use Go High Level, and I have it
Oh
tied
yeah,
in.
GHL. Yeah, I use Go High Level as
Um,
well.
and I have it tied in with my CRM so I have it tied in with a Repair Shopper through APIs and webhooks. So when a customer creates
Okay.
a ticket, it sends it over whenever, like all of my ads that you were talking about, Chris. How do I know what my ROI is on ad spend? Whenever an ad comes in, I'm either doing it via a form submission, a phone number, um, a different phone number than my primary store number. And then when somebody calls it, I have it flagged, I have it tagged, and then
I
guess
like that
what?
idea.
That is now in a pending pipeline for 60 days. And then when an invoice gets created, it sends it over to high level and it says, hey, does this tag exist? Yes, it does. Guess what? Boom, conversion. Now we converted, now we know that I spend $2,000 and I converted and brought in 10 grand or
See, I get confused
however
'cause
much that a month, that amount is.
I ask somebody how they hear about us, and I don't know. I guess that's why I get confused, just because I ask somebody how they hear about us, and then they say, "Oh, online or Google," and I don't know. I feel weird pry. I feel weird when I pry, and I don't want to
Well, you
be
don't
like,
have
"Oh,
to. I mean,
what
you
website
you
did you hear
definitely want
about?"
to say, how do you hear about us? And I say, hey, how do you hear about us? Oh, I heard it from a friend. Oh, okay. Who's that
Oh,
friend? Chris. Okay, perfect. Right. And then you're writing Chris.
okay.
Really what that referral section is for is to, determine where your business is coming from, obviously. But um, you can't really say, oh, I had 50 people say that they came in from Google, so I generated X amount of dollars off of my ads. Well, it could have been from ads, could have been from, organic. So at least for my perspective, I don't like to guess. I like knowing as much as I can on how much my ad spend is actually contributing to my revenue. And if it's not, then there's a problem.
I
So
turned
maybe
off my Facebook
here.
ads last year and I
No face.
increased my marketing towards my customer base. And honestly, I didn't see a difference.
I
Profits. In fact,
I
everything
think
stayed the same, and my revenue and my marketing budget went down drastically. I think it was like four
So
grand last year.
Nathan, do you think it's my ad spend that's screwing me up, or do you think it's my two employees at 35 to 37 hours a week that's screwing me up? Because there's
I don't know.
there's that too.
You'd have to dig in and find out. You'd have to, we'd have to
I've
listen to
been
your
watching my
calls.
bookkeeping for the last year, and I look at that paper that she gives me with all the categories and everything, and I just stare at the categories every month, and it's the same thing. And to me, it doesn't feel like any money is specifically getting wasted. It just seems like bills are too high.
Do you have a C or an accountant, like an actual accountant that does your books for you?
I have an account. Can you give me a second? I was looking at that. I have an accountant, and then I also was thinking about getting a CPA as well, but I have just a bookkeeper for now.
Invest your money in a real accountant, in my opinion. Honestly, we have had an accountant since the day we opened, and she does everything for me that has to do with money. I can go to her tomorrow and say, "Hey, why did I spend so much money?" And she will come back to me in 20 minutes and say, "Oh, yeah, you spent this much more in ads this month and you didn't get any more of that money back." A good CPA is worth the money. I think I pay my CPA like 600 bucks a month, which seems like a lot of money, but she does everything for me. She's made business licenses for me. She has developed LLCs for me. She is my accountant for 9 of my businesses, and she does everything. 600 bucks a month.
Yeah, I think that's realistically my next step. Last year, I hired a financial advisor to, try something new. Um, I want to say it did not help. I learned a lot of things, but I also opened up a loan that kind of screwed me up trying to build my credit. So I've just been trying to figure out, what companies to throw money at and what companies not to throw money at. These ad companies, some of them do a lot and some of them don't do anything. So it's very stressful with the amount of bills that I have, and it's hard to get the amount of bills, lower, especially with my, personal financial situation.
I jumped into this conversation quite a bit after, but how much are you spending per month on ads?
He's spending about
Probably like 2,000
2,000
after
and ad
management.
spend 500 on somebody to manage it.
So
Somewhere, yeah, somewhere around
$2,500 roughly.
Yep, and he's
600
bringing in
plus
$2,700 or 27,000 in revenue on average. So about 8% of
That's
his
not
revenue.
that bad, honestly. Like
There you
that's a
go.
pretty good round number. But
I
do you
told
know
him
what
it
your
should be
ROI
closer to
is?
5.
Do
Is
I know what
that
my ROI is?
Yeah.
is that Facebook ads or is it like Google ads?
No, that's Google. That's
The
Google Ads. I run
Yeah.
Facebook ads, but only for buying back people's iPhones. Um,
Well, I
yeah,
so I don't know if y'all are familiar with Ahmed with UPD. Ahmed, I don't know how to say his last name. Um, but they do marketing and all of that, and they're pretty good at what they do. Me and Ahmed are buddies, and he told me a while back. He was like, man, like when it comes to Facebook ads, at least I'm not really too sure about Google because I didn't play around with Google too much. Uh,
sure.
but with Facebook ads, you can basically go and if your Facebook page has over 1,000 followers on it, you can go and you can make a targeted ad, put it on your store, set the radius for like anywhere between 1 to 3 miles, and it's gonna bleed out. However much money you put into it, it's gonna bleed out to everywhere else. So you can actually save yourself a bunch of money and not set your radius to like the entire city or set your radius for 20 or 30 miles. Set it for like 3 miles. It'll bleed out, 50 miles just by default. And then you can hammer the money into that smaller area and you'll get a lot more returns. I actually do that at my shop and I make way more money doing that than I've ever made just when I tried to do it on my own before he gave me that little bit of advice.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me that I can feel so successful, but yet see so far away from success.
Are you in a high traffic area or not really?
Um, I would say yes.
So people drive past, walk past your store every day, all day?
Oh, I mean, yeah, we get plenty of traffic. We get a lot of traffic. Especially when our Google ads are working and Google doesn't ban us every month or two.
No, I just
So,
mean
I
like
mean,
people coming past your store, not specifically shopping with you, but just people walking or driving past your store on a daily basis.
we have a small strip mall, and then in front of the strip mall, and Nick has seen our place, but in front of the strip mall, there's a pizza place, and then there is a main street. So people can see us. Wouldn't say people 100% see us driving by, but like I don't honestly think that my issue is customer flow. When I mean like everybody sends everybody to us, like that's a very true statement. The only thing we really lose out on is iPhone and higher end Samsung repairs because
How many
CPR
tickets
is
are you
really
doing a
good with
month?
a lot.
What's a lot?
Yeah, yeah.
Probably not a lot compared to your amount because I know that you have a pretty successful store. Let's see. Depends on if you define the ticket as sales or just repairs.
Just
Sales.
repairs.
I would lump them together. I mean,
Because every month for the last 2 years, we are 50% sales and 50% repairs. Sometimes it's
Okay,
45, sometimes it's 45, but we are like 50-50 on each one.
got it.
so
Okay, then yeah,
last month, what was your ticket count?
Let's see. January to January 31st. 153 tickets.
And
and what was your revenue?
yeah,
25.
25,000. And how many was the tickets again?
153.
153.
Yeah, so
But
your
average
average dollar
average
was about,
transactions 160.
Yeah.
yeah.
How much of what's your margin on that? The blended margin on that 160? Like what are you know, that's how much your average ticket is, but how much are you actually making profit wise on that ticket?
The gross margin, the POS says 64.87.
You're losing money somewhere that doesn't make sense
Yep.
because
That's what I said earlier.
that's
I think
fine.
it's my personal life that I think it's my personal life that I'm losing
Okay.
the money on.
So not everybody wants to share this, but how much are you taking home? How much are you pulling out of the business and putting
Oh,
in
I
your
have no. I'm a very open book. If you ask anybody, I'm an open book. I don't hide anything. So I try to take home about five a month. It honestly depends on if my store gets broken into or not, whether I take that five home a month or not. And it takes me a couple months to rebuild every time my store gets broken into. So last year I probably took five home a month regardless of a few days. But I also just keep having shitty things happen, like my car keeps breaking. So I just went out and bought a brand new car, and I've been trying to pay off debts so that I can feel like I can save more a month. I know
How
something
many
doesn't make
employees do you
sense because
have?
I've been staring at my books for a long time trying to figure out what the hell is going on with my books.
How
Are
many
you?
employees do you have?
I have two.
And how much are you paying them each month?
Mm, $20 an hour and 16 an hour.
Full time?
Semi full time, 35 to 37 hours, occasionally full time, depending on
Well,
if the
what's your $16 an hour guy make or make you last month?
made me last month a lot.
What
They're
is
my
a
bread
lot?
and butter. I don't know. He does a lot. He's not just a technician. He's also somewhat of my personal assistant. So I mean, he ships out wholesale phones for me. He clears deals in the front for me. It would
No, no,
be
no,
hard
that
to put.
makes sense. But how much revenue does he contribute?
I don't know. I wouldn't know that. I
Are you
wouldn't.
using are you using who's your
If
point of
you're
sale
using my
system?
repair app,
I'm
you should
using
be
my
able to
repair
pull
app,
in the
but there's a lot of stuff in my repair app that's not calculated. Like how many devices did my employee refurbish last month, right? How many phones did he wholesale last month, right? How many phones did he ship out? Like how many times did he drive to the UPS for me? Like there's all these things that repair app won't be able to calculate. I mean, I can tell you
it can
what
get you a rough idea with the revenue per man hour for
you got. Are you
that
guys all using my
employee.
repair app?
I'm on it.
I'm not.
Or Josh? Uh, let's see. I haven't messed a whole lot with employee metrics.
But Chris, if you're saying that you're taking out 5,000 for yourself most of the time, out of your 25,000 a month or 27,000 a month, 14,000 of it is going between you and your employees. So that's only leaving you 10 grand to
Yeah,
buy.
and my personal bills have are kind of shitty. You know, my house is 1,600, my car is 500, insurance is roughly about 200 a month, but I pay that for 6 months. So that's why I said it just never feels like I can save money. That's why I've been trying to keep the damn credit cards low so I don't have to worry about them. Honestly, I don't even know how to use my repair app to look at what my employees have done.
Go to
I just
metrics and
Yep.
then click on employees. And then you can filter by last month and tells you how much revenue that employee generated.
And that'll
uh
obviously just be closed tickets in my repair. It's not going to do anything about your refurbishing or anything like that.
Correct, but at least it'll give you a starting point.
yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with this. I'm fine with the starting point. So one thing I get, yeah, these numbers are a little bit skewed because my one employee is usually the one that's logged into the POS, and half the time we forget to, sign out and sign back into the right employee's account. It just kicked me out of metrics. What? Okay. Chris Groover, which is me, 5,600. Nathan Reeves, which is the $20 an hour guy, 10,800, and Jacob Hilchi, which is the $16 an hour guy, 7.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Yeah, if you guys can find the missing link, I'll send everybody, a pizza or something if y'all want to help me find my missing link.
Just do what Matt Leonard did and send out your Starbucks card.
No, because somebody will buy a $55 cup.
Now okay, so you said that you don't do PTO, right? And
No,
you
we
don't
do
do
not.
paid
We do
holidays?
not do PTO. We do not do paid holidays.
Do you do
No,
one-on-ones?
we don't do health insurance either. Do I do
Okay,
one-on-ones? What do you mean one-on-ones?
where you spend one-on-one time with your employees
Oh yeah.
once a week, 30 minutes dedicated?
Listen, not super
No,
proud to admit this, but I'm
I'm
like
not here
Tony
to
Baker.
judge.
I'm
I'm
a
just trying to get
hard
a
ass.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a rough estimate of how much time or how much of their time is utilized. So you do?
We've been working on that. I have one employee that's semi-slow when he does repairs, but when he's slow, he's meticulous. When he's fast, he misses things. I got another
Okay.
employee that's faster, but he misses things. So it
Not to be an
happens.
ass, Chris, but that didn't answer my question. Do you do one-on-one time with your employees?
Yeah. Whenever they need
Okay.
to learn something, I'll write up like a document or something. Like I've been writing up tons of documents lately.
Okay,
And
so
I've
the
Yeah.
also
answer is
been
no. So
hands-on.
that's training. So
Yeah.
that's training time. Yeah, so then the answer is no, and that's training time, which is fine. We can allocate a little
Meantime
bit of
with
time
what?
for
How to
that.
repair something? Like how to work with Windows?
No,
How to do
one on one.
something?
So, Chris, what do you feel like expressing today, man? How are you doing as a person? Let's look at your metrics. Let's look at your KPIs. Let's see, let me provide you with some good real world
Oh,
feedback on how
well,
you're doing performance wise.
I started doing that and I gave him an iPhone to repair and I told him the target that I wanted him to target and I wanted to, see what he could do was to do a screen repair and I wanted the screen repair to take less than 30 minutes. And I think it took like 25 minutes total. And then I gave him a Samsung or Motorola or something like that. And I think he did it in 20 minutes. So we started doing that, but it's been busy lately, so we haven't gotten a chance to move on to doing iPad targets and whatnot.
Got it. Daily huddles?
Daily what?
Daily huddles? 15-minute meetings in the morning to kick off the day?
Generally we do like a Monday or something, or at the end of the day, I'll tell them, what I wanted them to improve on. Can you answer that? What I
Okay,
wanted them to improve on, what we can improve on, what we can pitch, what we can do.
got it. What about now? You had mentioned refurbishing, that one of your guys does refurbishing. How much time does he allocate doing that?
No, he doesn't. Well, sorry, I meant refurbishing, like fixing up a computer or fixing up a phone or something like that. I mean, the average repair time,
Oh
if
shoot,
it's a screen.
I wanted to even calculate that because that should be, yeah, no. They
I
even
do
doing
I do the
that
screen
alone.
refurbishing. That's me. I do screen
Okay,
refurbishing on phones that we resell if they're scratched or something.
got it. So you said $16 an hour guy. How much did he do?
It says he did about 7.
Okay, he needs to be doing at about 13 a month.
So what can I get him to do
In
more if
order
that's
for
not his
you,
main job?
well, let me ask you this. How much is your other guy making?
He does about 10.8, but he's primarily a tech and primarily checking people in. The other guy is primarily inventory and tech.
Okay, how much is he the inventory and tech?
What now?
Are they both 16?
No, one's 20, one's at $20 an hour, and one's at 16.
And how much did the $20 an hour guy invoice?
10.8. That's probably pretty accurate too.
Okay, he needs to be at 16,000. In order for you to
Okay.
have a managed or a direct labor efficiency ratio of 4.0, which for our industry is pretty damn good, um, he needs to be invoicing about $16,000 a month as his target.
Okay, so how would we bring those up if we already feel the only thing we're not consistently
Again, it
offering?
goes back to things like, first of all, so I do a thing in the business: delegate, eliminate, or automate, right? If it can be automated, I'm going to automate it. Find a way to automate it,
Sure.
right? And then before you delegate it, or if you're doing something that you think is just absolutely stupid and a waste of time, it isn't going to actually make an impact to the bottom line, eliminate it. So I
Sure.
would
Okay.
start there first. After that, I think it's important that we look at your marketing and we look at, you say you're doing awesome with conversions. I would love to listen to those phone calls and see, are we actually converting? Are we getting people in the door? Are those conversations happening? Because Chris, you're not always there, right? You probably go off, your employees are there, they're trying to work. You know, if they're trying to work fixing devices and the phone's ringing off of the hook, they're not going to be able to stop and give 100% to that person that's calling in.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't say that if we don't have the data, then we don't necessarily know whether or not we have a good conversion rate and how much those ad spends are actually contributing to your success.
Okay.
So the first thing is figuring out, okay, what can we automate, eliminate, or delegate? And then from there, then we start from the back of the equation, which is looking at our leads. How are our quality of leads? Are they good? because if the quality of leads are good and we suck at converting, that's an area to focus on. That's an area to work on.
So I know it's been different in the last 7 days because in the last 7 days, and we were doing good with Google until we moved to a company who got us banned, and it's been off and on with suspended ban, and so we gave up. We created a new Google account. We didn't create, but we gave them the debit card instead of the credit card because our credit card was used. So we were at $2 a day on Google Ads, honestly, for the last 2 months. So that has to do with our store being a little slow, and the
Mhm.
fact that we've $30 a day lately, and we've closed, $1,800 above a day for the last 5 days
Yeah.
tells me something about our Google ads. It tells me that we are doing very good. But at the same time, I still don't know the conversions on that because some of those people are buying tech that they see, us on for sale on Marketplace. Some of those people are coming from Batteries Plus and Bulbs, which is 5 minutes down the street. Some of those people are coming from GameStop. Some of those, it's really hard for me to figure out those conversions. I
Yeah.
like the
And
idea of
and
actually using a
it's
different phone
going
number.
to.
That's a good idea.
And it's going to. I mean, even my methodology and how we track Google Ads, like I can't tell you that it's 100% accurate, right? Because there's going to be other things that people see. They're going to see my sign when they drive by.
Yeah.
That's contributing. They're going to get referred from other people. That's going to contribute. They may see an ad on Facebook, but not click on it, and then search us online and see our reviews and then call. So there's definitely, it's not never a cut and dry, but what I do suggest is trying to get a firm understanding of the money you are spending and the people that are engaging with you on your ads, that you have a pretty decent conversion rate, at least there.
At the beginning of this, you said you don't do a lot of phone repairs.
I don't.
Why are you not doing a lot of phone repairs?
So you might have missed the part. We were doing tons of phone repairs before the CPR location came in. The CPR, we have a great relationship with them. They sell us parts. We sell them parts. We're great with them. But at the end of the day, they really crush the phone repairs. And they get a lot of the people from the carrier stores. It's really hard to get carriers to send people to me versus the
Are
CPR.
CPR doing insurance?
Yes, of course, CPR is doing insurance.
Where are you located?
What?
Where are you located?
Salem, Oregon. And I don't have a crazy bit of competition for computers and consoles. Everybody in the area has kind of recognized that we're one of the best. But phones, I have a little bit of competition with, but I really do think it's just that CPR that's making it really hard to get some of these phones.
Do you know the owner of that CPR? Not
I
the
do
manager,
know. I do know the
owner.
owner. He actually owns the Salem and the Eugene location. I'm not sure if those are the only ones he owns. But I actually do know the owner, and I do know the manager of that CPR, and I know every employee at that CPR. So I'm not friends with the owner, but I'm friends with everybody else within that one CPR location.
So obviously CPR is a franchise. Just like I can drive down the street and McDonald's is really good, but I can drive across town and McDonald's is really bad. Is
Yeah.
this CPR a good
Yes,
CPR?
it is. It is.
It's a
I know the
really
owner.
good
It
CPR.
is. It's one of the
Okay.
top performing CPRs in the entire franchise, actually.
So we dominate with computers and consoles. That's where I learned that I think 90% of my market was whether I liked it or not, I would honestly much prefer to fix an iPhone 11 or a 12, almost more than an HDMI. I don't know.
So people are coming to you for consoles and computers, regardless. You said you're the best. They're coming to you, CPR refers them to you, or whoever refers them to you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So why are you spending so much money on ads for computers and consoles?
To be honest, I honestly don't actually even know what we are targeting on ads right now. I just know the last 5 days have been absolutely insane with phones, computers, and tablets and everything combined. So I don't know what the company is targeting. I just know that
Who are you
doing
using?
Malik Ahmed with Boost My Repair.
Okay. I would
have had such good
definitely
experience with them.
have a conversation with him and figure out what you're targeting. Because if you don't know what you're targeting, then you're not doing your job. I mean, really
I
is
know
what it
that
comes down to.
Yeah.
they're running ads with me and they're running SEO. I know this is the first time I've ever had a company try to, work on SEO with me. I've heard mixed reviews, but people say SEO, you kind of just have to stick with it. So I'm trying to stick with it and trying to hold
All
it.
marketing. all marketing you have to stick with. You
Yeah.
cannot do
SEO, Google Ads, everything takes time, right?
if
Nothing
you
is
do it for
instant.
1 month, you will not get the benefit out of it. You have to do it for
Yeah.
9 months to a year before you start to see the actual benefit of it.
Yep.
People, this was a long time ago. I'm old, but radio ads. People would do radio ads for like
Mhm.
2 weeks and nobody heard
Yeah.
it. If that customer hears your ad or sees your ad 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, that's when they're going to come to you. Now they're not going to come the first time they see the ad, for the
Yep.
most
So
part.
should I target toward phones and computers just solely and just let consoles and computers come to me organically because they probably will anyway because everybody else sucks.
If you are getting the amount of consoles and computers that you say you're getting, I'm not saying you're lying, but if you're getting them at the rate that you say you're getting them, there's no reason to target those customers. They're already
We
coming
had
to you.
11
I
computers in queue waiting to be touched. And like I think that was yesterday at the beginning of the day, we had 11 computers waiting to be untouched. Each one of those is 100 to 150 easily.
Why are
I
they not
still
what were they, like what did they need?
All kinds of different things. Hinge screen. We have lots of issues where people have Windows issues, and instead of us always resetting it, sometimes we just fix it for them, and we just charge them an hourly rate for that. We have lots that need just Windows installs. We have lots that need a drive installed. We had 2 computer builds that came in the same week.
So
There's
from that, like what I'm thinking is you have 11 computers coming in. I'm going to average what my store would do at about 2 hours a computer. Some of that'll be more, some of that'll be less.
valid.
22 hours. You have both your employees there every day?
Yeah, one employee is off on Tuesdays and one employee is off on Fridays. That's a change I made at the beginning of the year because we were a little slower and it just didn't seem like I needed them quite for the full time. We also
And then
just
are you
started
guys closed
opening up
on
on Saturdays again. However, my employees don't really want to work Saturdays, so we're only working 12 to 4 on Saturdays just so we have a pickup and drop off period for the people during the week that do not want to or cannot meet us during the week. So that's been working really well. Saturdays have been working really well. We started doing that about a month ago, but I did not want to be the one that worked on Saturdays, but neither did my employees. So we've got like this
So I'm
clash.
gonna be a total dick here, but who owns the business?
Me.
Okay, so why does it matter what your employees want?
Because I
I
don't want
I
to
100% agree. Just throw that in there.
It sucks.
Yeah.
100% it sucks. You might have the world's best employee, but if they don't want to come to work, I can find somebody who does. You
You
know,
gotta draw the
yeah.
line between, manager, business
Mhm.
owner, and friend,
I don't
right?
think
Like
it's
that's
that they
that's the
don't want to
problem.
come. I don't think it's that they don't want to come to work. It's just, I think it was just we weren't open on the weekends for so long. So I think getting, the employees to, getting them back to working on the weekends, I think is hard after, not working the weekends for so
Well, I
for
long.
think it
sure,
just comes
but
down to you saying, hey, we're opening up on the weekends from 12 to 4 on Saturday, and we're going to do rotational schedules.
So that's
You know?
exactly actually what we did, Laura. That's honestly exactly what we did, and it's been working really good. So that's been something new.
I'm going to go back to this originally. So you had 22 hours worth of computer work yesterday, roughly. Did all of that get done?
Like most of it. We had more computers that came in though. I'd say like 80% of it got done.
Okay, so if you
All the
did
computer builds
11
were done.
computers and you said roughly $150 per computer,
Somewhere around there, yeah.
so that's almost 7 grand that you
Right. And I did state that the last 5 days have been different than the last 2 months. So there is a big difference when we move the Google ad budget up to $30 a day because we were circumventing Google's policies and they moved us to $2 a day, which is an absolute joke. So we
How
had to
much repair are you doing yourself?
honestly, I don't do a whole lot of repair anymore. My techs do a lot of repair. I'll come through and do things for them like removing iPad Pro screens off of them because they don't want to break the $300 iPad screen. So I'll do something like that. But the techs solder, the techs sell. Everybody has a big part in this business. There's 3 people and there's me, somebody. Without one of those, I feel like things would just fall apart.
So I'm looking at your
Sales
20.
away from them. I would take sales away. I'm sorry, man. I'll take sales away and add a salesperson.
You
Let
would
the
take
tech
what?
solely be. take sales away from them like it's part of their job and hire an actual salesperson or like a receptionist, somebody to sit in the front.
So
Let
I've
the
been
text be
discussing that
text.
with myself. I've been
Yeah,
thinking about
they
it.
will get a lot more done. And you can probably cut the hours down a little bit to justify it, but they will get a lot more done if you let the text just be text and then hire a salesperson.
So that's something I've been kind of weighing the pros and cons about thinking I would like somebody that speaks Spanish as well. That would really help us close a lot more. So it's something I've been working on, but I'm also scared to take another step for another employee until I get my finances a bit more under control.
Are you
I've
married?
never not been able to pay my employees. So they've always gotten paid. Payroll taxes have already always gotten paid. Bills always get paid. So I guess, that's the good thing. I'm not absolutely red every single month and screwing myself. But I
with
just want
somebody with
nice.
somebody in sales, you can pay them less and offer them a commission on their sales. So you don't have to necessarily
Yeah.
go $16, $20. You can go a little lower, like maybe $10 or $12, but give them a pretty decent commission to make up the rest and to justify them, to push them to actually sell more.
So that
They,
was
they,
that
they
was
would
the
actually be
thought.
the highest paid employee.
Yeah.
That was the thought, but up until now, until Repair App, it's been kind of hard to get a POS that can actually properly help you out with commission. Repair App is honestly a breath of fresh air.
So, okay, you're making 5 grand a month. Do you have a spouse or a partner or a girlfriend? No. So do you live alone?
Sort of. I live with my employee.
Okay. So, oh, okay. Well, that throws a whole nother dynamic into your employee not wanting to work
Well,
or, being your best
That's
friend. And I
a
totally get
it's
that.
that's that no that's not the thing. That's not the problem. He'll work if I ask him
Okay.
to.
So,
He's just more of an assistant for me.
sure, sure. Okay. So you're taking home 1250 every week. Um, is that covering your bills?
Yeah, but sort of. It's been really tricky because my whole car situation really has been really shitty. So
Yeah,
I
your
saved
car
up a bunch of
situation
money
sucks. I totally get that.
in
Never
January.
buy
I
a
saved up a
Ford
bunch of
ever again.
money, and I guess I could technically say I took 10 grand home in January. It depends on how you think about it, but I saved up that money. I specifically bought an entirely different car so that I could have something reliable and everything. And that's been a good decision. And once I get rid of the Ford, it'll be nice. So like this year, I've been trying to make better decisions. It's just still
When
just
I first started, this was almost 15 years ago. When I first started my store, I thought I was the hottest shit ever, and I was bringing home so much money. I was taking home like 10 to 15 grand a month and just
right.
like pocketing it. And I was living the life of luxury and I was buying all of the things that I wanted. And then I found out like, damn, I have no money in my account for my business. My business was struggling because I was taking too much money home. I don't think 5 grand is taking too much money home, but if you're spending money that you don't need to spend, are you going out to eat every day? Are you like, there's so much stuff that if you take your payroll down from 5 grand a
Yep.
month to 4 grand a month, that's an extra $1,000. That's your whole
So
marketing spend.
just for my bills, I need to take home about 2,500 just to even settle my bills. But I've also been taking home more because I've been paying off debts as well. So like I stated,
For
I've
sure.
been
And
trying to
yeah,
get
you
my credit
definitely need
cards
to do
low,
that too.
personal loans down. I've been trying to pay off the Ford. So this year I've been, I guess, making better financial decisions and things I just might not see the overall picture yet. But I mean, I've been paying off things, so I'll have less, in 6 months, I'm hoping to get rid of the Ford and I'll save, 900 a month after I got rid of my Ford and personal loan. So there's that alone. It just honestly feels like it just feels like I have too much. That's the reason why I canceled, Ad Central. Yes, I like it. Yes, it was on my TV out front. However, I don't honestly think it made too much of a difference for converting customers or helping me with that because we never had a problem when people were in the store. And I just got a response from Boost My Repair, and they said that they are targeting computers and phones.
If you're already getting the conversions on computers and people are coming in no matter what for computers, I would slow down, maybe not drop it completely, but slow down on it. There's no reason to do that if you're already getting the customer. But if you're not getting the phone customer, push your marketing toward that. If you're doing the repairs, push your marketing towards that. With that said, you're not used to doing a lot of phone repairs. You need to up your inventory stock, which sucks when you don't have a ton of money. But as Nick said earlier, get a credit card, put a little bit of parts on
That's
it,
the
and
issue though.
pay
My
it off.
credit limits are low. I have
Okay,
like really
so
low credit.
I sent this in Facebook chat before I jumped in here. Who do you have for a credit card?
I have Capital One with the 2% cash back, and then I also
Okay,
have the Amazon credit card with whatever that is.
call them tomorrow and say, "Can I get a credit limit increase?" I guarantee you they will say yes.
I
There is,
guarantee you they will say no. I did it in January.
are you overextending your credit?
Yeah, my Ford is screwing me. I'm way upside down in that stupid Ford, Carl. That
What's
Ford
your
is screwing me.
what's your credit score right now? Personal credit score.
Well, it was at a 720 last month. This month, I did not pay off some of the debt and I put it toward a personal loan instead. And my credit score dropped down to like a 670. But I just paid off the personal loan today. So that's $5,000 of personal debt that was on my credit last month that will not be on my credit this month anymore.
Sure. Okay. So you need to be really careful for the next 8 months is really what it comes down to. You need to stockpile a bunch of cash and pay off your debt. That if you can't get a credit limit increase because you have too much outstanding personal debt,
It's the Ford. It's that
yeah,
fucking Ford. And I only have a
right.
2.9% interest rate, and I'm still getting screwed by that Ford.
What and are you trying to sell it or
It is sitting in it is sitting in my driveway. Every time I turn on that car, something new breaks. My heater
yeah.
core went out after I fixed the engine again. So now I got to replace the damn heater core.
What year is that?
2019.
Okay, so
I'm seven.
did you
I'm
buy it
7
brand
grand.
new?
No, I just put a shit ton of miles on it because I drive 90 miles a day.
Sure. How much do you owe on it?
14.
You owe way too much money on that car.
I know, and I pay 525 a month. It's on a 4-year loan too. So in 2 years, realistically, at the 525 a month, it'll be paid off. And it's only like $50 a month in interest, but it's killing me keeping it now. I absolutely hate that car.
So when I first started my business, again, this was 15 years ago, I worked 363 days a year. I took off Thanksgiving and I took off Christmas Day. Those were the only 2 days that I took off. I worked 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. It was the worst thing ever. But I am now in a position where I don't go to my store, but maybe an hour or two a week because I can do that. If you are not working open to close, which I know sucks, I totally get it. Everybody wants a
Oh,
personal life.
I work open to close, just alternating Saturdays. I don't work, and sometimes I
Okay.
don't work on Tuesdays.
And you guys aren't open on Sundays, I assume.
No, but I've thought about it.
You should do it.
Whoa, who was
Yeah, I
that?
think I'm gonna have to hire another person that if I want to open Saturdays and Sundays, and I think that's where I'm kind of scared
Spread
because
out, spread out
We
your
fucking
spread
kill
your
it
labor
on
hours out.
Sundays.
This if y'all are stacked up like that, that's gonna hurt you.
I
That's
mean,
gonna hurt your
Sunday,
pockets too.
Sundays are reserved for football. That's it.
I got to admit, the last 5 days have been very unprecedented for my business. Ben knows that. Ben and I talked about my numbers a little throughout this month, and then Ben was like, "Yo, what the hell? You're about to surpass me." And I was like, "Bro, I don't know what's going on. If we are this busy all the time, I will get a third person. But if this is only a phenomenon, I'm a little, I'd be a little bit worried about getting another third person and taking that jump. But I don't.
What are you doing currently to maximize your average ticket for computer repair?
Well, we just updated the Windows installs from 100 to 125, which you guys told me was still not enough. I'm not sure what you I'm not sure what you mean like maximize. Like we'll offer somebody an SSD
Yeah,
upgrade hard drive.
yeah. So if they come in with 8 gigs of RAM, why are you not offering them 16?
Oh, yeah.
Especially with Windows 11. I mean, 16
Yeah.
is our new minimum 8. If they come in with a
Okay.
M.2, but their computer can take an NVMe, are you looking at the hard drive health? Are you looking at their
Yeah.
battery health? Are you looking at if their hard drive health is great, but they have a shit ton of power on hours? Then that's an indicator that their drive can fail in the next couple of months, and you want to prevent that from happening.
Actually, I have that's a great recommendation because I just added to my diagnostic notes that now when my tech is going through all the diagnostics and she's recording the CPU, the RAM, the drive, and all that information, down below at the very bottom, future recommendations. And I did
Yep.
that with a client. I had a customer, I told, you know what, your computer's okay right now until October, until it has to hit, Windows 10 end of life. But if you're in the market and you need help, we can, help you get a new computer. And the guy called me back a week later and said, hey, I'd like to get a new computer for my house. And then once I get that, I'm going to get one for my business. And I got 2 new computers
Yep.
out of them, just adding that future recommendations and just saying, hey, we need to upgrade you to
Beautiful.
something
And
better.
guess what?
Definitely
And
do
guess
not
what?
disagree
If they
with
have
upselling those.
if they have a computer, if they have a computer that doesn't support Windows 11, you can have a repair option, but I would absolutely require your technicians to have a replacement option. And then guess what? You
Yeah, we
sell on the
always,
replacement, you
yeah.
recycle their computer, and you put hang on, let me see what it's called. I don't want to
So I
mispronounce
can
it.
definitely say my techs do not really upsell on RAM, unless the customer specifically asks for it. I can definitely say
That's
my
where
techs do
the
not upsell
salesperson
on
would come into
batteries.
handy because
I was gonna say the same thing.
Do you know
that's
how
where
many
the
That's
techs
definitely
salesperson
where a
comes in.
suck
The
at
salesperson.
tech would put
talking?
the future.
What'd you say,
Huh?
Carl?
Do you know how many techs suck at talking? Oh,
Yeah.
100% of them.
Yeah.
I have
There's
Stuart Levitt, so I don't have that problem.
Oh, well, okay. Let's not talk about Stewart.
Oh.
Oh,
But
so
no,
I want
Well,
to
I guess
say,
that's also, yeah. I mean, for us at least, I mean, obviously techs are techs, but we focus on, one of our core values is outstanding customer service. So it's almost a requirement that our technicians have to have that customer service experience, and we
Yes,
have to
same
go
with
through that
me.
training.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
with me. I mean, my guys are techs, but at the same time, Nate can clear a $2,500 computer build while also, selling 7 different items in one day. That happened like a half a week ago or something like that. That was a crazy day.
It's
But I think it's also
FIDOS.
hard to
What
be
is
able to
it?
tell the customer your computer works. Yes, you're only doing word processing,
Here,
but
I'll put it
we
in
would
chat.
recommend 60 RAM. I think it gets hard to make that conversation for that upsell. If everything works good and everything's doing good, then why
What
do
is
they?
Your
FIDOS?
future, your future. So, but before I get into that real quick, Laura, you're future proofing the device, Chris. In essence, that is exactly what you're doing,
So
right? If you had
pitching it
a
on the future proofing, then
100%, 100%, because if you're, what we've seen, especially, so we provide protection for not just businesses, but also for residential customers, right? I can pull up my PSA tool right now, and I can guarantee you that a good majority, if I was to find computers that were still running 8 gigs of RAM, even on the residential side, guarantee you they're reaching their utilization.
definitely.
Guarantee it. And so a lot of people might say, "Oh yeah, it's running fine." Make that a part of your check-in process. Hey, does your computer slow down the longer you're using it? How's the startup of it? How does your computer seem to be going in circles when you click on a program? And what I was talking about with FIDOS, which is what I just threw in the chat, if you sell a computer on a Windows 11 compatible machine, guess what? You can then recycle their computer, wipe it, put FIDOS on there, which is kind of
Yeah.
like a Linux based program. But guess what? It's got security. It's still going to be supported for a little while. And then you sell it for $200.
Yeah. I mean, we don't really have a problem selling computers. That's not. I think the upselling is something I
It's
could.
an interesting idea, especially for the computers that can't support Windows 11.
Exactly. FIDOS, yeah. I mean, FIDOS is going to be, that is
I don't
it's
really
a
have
good
a market
option.
for Linux-based customers, but yeah, something to
Hey,
consider.
if all they need to do is get online, it's kind of like Chrome OS. If all they
Sure.
have to do is get online, that $200 computer is going to be a night and day difference to them than the broken one that they bring in.
Chrome OS too. I'm not sure what the requirements are for system, but I've done that as well.
Yeah, you can install
Where-
Chrome OS on there.
Yeah. But Chris, for
Oh.
Sundays, I don't know what your market would be like, but I think you need to at least try it out for like a month or two because the past, I want to say 3 or 4 Sundays. I mean, we've had like our best days of the week on Sundays. We've done over 2 grand,
I mean,
at
I'm not
least the
against
past
it,
three
but I already
Sundays.
work 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week.
So here's a question. What's your
So,
slowest day of the week?
mm, it's a good
We can
question.
come back to that.
I would
How
have to look
many techs, what's the least amount of techs working at your store on a given day? Do you ever have only one person there?
Yes,
How often?
Tuesdays and sometimes Saturdays.
Is that one person you or someone else?
It's my manager, the one that gets $20 an hour.
So my recommendation would be for 1 month, pull him from that day where he's working one just by himself. You work that day and then come back and work with him on Sunday for 1, maybe 2 months and see what that does to your revenue. Because if he's running it by yourself, you can too.
I
And give him that extra day
could,
so
but
he can come back and work
I don't
Sunday.
think he'll do it, and I don't think it's fair to force someone to do that either.
Okay, then you do it on
That-
Sunday.
yeah, that's
It's worth a shot for a little bit. And then if it's worth it, you can hire that extra person. And maybe it could be a day where, like, if you hire that salesperson, they could just work Sunday, sell things, and take things in for repair. And then come Monday, then your techs are back to work. You don't even have to have a tech on staff.
Honestly, I had a sales guy actually last year for a little bit, and honestly, I really did enjoy my sales guy, and the way it ended was really stupid. But it ended abruptly, and yeah, I just didn't really get another. I just really didn't get another sales guy past then because I just
Are
didn't think about it.
you a tech or are you a salesperson or are you a manager?
I'm like 100% all of the above. Like the last 6 months, I've done a lot more managing and owning the business than I have my entire time of owning the business. I mean, I can be a tech, but I'm not really a tech as much anymore. I taught my employees how to solder. I gave them I gave them pay raises when they hit a certain solder goal. So, they know how to solder, they know how to call customers, they know how to sell. I know how to sell. Sometimes I'll go out there and I'll help them sell if a customer has a question. Um, I mean, right now I'm just an owner and I'm just trying to figure out how to run the business efficiently. I honestly feel like I could stay at home and this business will run itself. We reached that point. I just don't know what is going on with the
Can
money.
can you
And watch
can you
every
be gone a
day.
week and will it run?
Yeah, of course. I went to Vegas in January last year, and this is before I fired the sales guy, and then I went to Vegas again in April. Um,
Perfect.
and
Okay.
I know my business can run itself because I can sit in my office, which is way the hell over there in the other side with a closed door, and this whole business will run itself without
I
me.
love
I'm
this.
gonna
Okay.
go. I'm on vacation. I'll see you guys next week.
I love you,
Bye-bye.
Ben. Bye.
Bye, Ben.
Love you. Bye.
Okay, so this is perfect. I love what you just said. You can be gone for a week and your business will run itself. Okay, so why don't you take 3 days off a week and work on Sunday by yourself?
So there is a specific reason, and this is going away soon. The employee that lives with me, my best friend, I gave him a job to try to help him get out of a rough patch. He learned how to solder. He's absolutely doing great. No problems with that. He did not drive for the longest time, so he carpools with me. So when he works, that means I work. When I work, it usually means he works, unless it's at one of his days off. So that would be the only problem. Now, luckily, he is getting a car on Saturday. So I have been considering taking off during the week and working Saturdays and Sundays and not alternating them and just working Saturdays and Sundays all day, each day by myself.
Are you your
I-
best
I've been considering
salesperson?
it. Am I what?
Are you your best salesperson?
Am I my best salesperson? I'm pretty good, but I'm also very honest with people. When I sell something to someone, I want them to understand what they're buying. I don't want them to have trouble.
Are
So I
you
mean,
talking yourself out of sales?
say I'm really talking myself out of sales. If someone says that they only do document work and they only write up documents and whatnot, I'm not going to sell them a laptop with an i7. I'll probably sell them the laptop with the i5. I'm bad at that. I know.
Wallet and not theirs.
I was just gonna say you're selling out of your own pocket.
I would say
I had
that
a
we
lady,
know-
Chris, I had a lady the other day who I gave her two options, right? I gave her a high-end brand new computer with a 5-year warranty straight from Dell, and then I gave her a refurbished option.
We give people
Even
the
though she
options.
does
It's not that we don't give
documents,
people the options. People just tell us, they go, well, which one would you choose? And I go, if you're only doing
I'm not the
documents,
one
you're only
that's
doing
doing it.
support. Yes,
And you
but
know
when the
what? You be
customer
honest with them. I'm not
specifically
the one
says, I
using
don't
them.
know which one to choose, do you just say, oh, I would buy the $1,000 Windows. I would buy the $1,000 Windows computer.
No, you don't need to do that. You
No,
tell them the
no.
pros and cons of both. You say, this
Yes,
one's a little bit older. This one
I
is going to be a
know.
little bit cheaper. You are selling out of your own pocket. It took me so long to stop doing that.
Yeah.
I hated selling screen protectors because I wanted that customer to come back the minute they broke their phone. And if they had a screen protector, they were not going to come back because their screen protector was going to be broken. And they didn't need me anymore. We started selling screen protectors, $30. You, we, I'm not joking you. I would say 99% of the phones that come into our store leave with a screen protector on. If they don't, my employee better have a very good reason as to why they didn't sell them a screen protector. Because that screen protector is not, screen protectors are a fucking scam. They're not saving a phone. They're going to come back next month because they broke their phone again, and you're getting another $30 for that extra screen protector.
I call that I want to hear, or I want to see sales or hear objections.
Yeah, 100%.
I just wouldn't call it. I would have a hard time
Well,
calling
and,
it
and honestly, when a
think
customer says to me, well, which would you choose? We'll say, well, I'm going to choose this higher end option because of longevity and future proofing.
For me, I would say
like
I would
said, we don't
choose
have a
this
problem
option
with
because
sales.
this is what I use it for. This is what I would use it for. But we're not here for me. We're here for you.
So you guys asked me like about that. So we had a customer that came in. They wanted a computer for $100. We just didn't have jack shit for under $250 at that point. So my employee started talking to them. My employee wasn't closing it. It just wasn't going well. And I started talking to the customer, and we didn't have that many options in stock, but we had one for $250, which was a brand new Lenovo with an i3. And we had a Dell 8th generation Latitude with an i5 and 500 gigs of storage. Okay, I would pick the Dell over it every single time because the Dell is just better than the brand new Lenovo. It unfortunately is a fact. But we got the customer. I got the customer after I started talking to them, and they go, well, which one would you choose? And I go, well, honestly, you have this brand new Lenovo with its brand new warranty, and it's a good laptop, right? It's a fine laptop. It'll do everything you're asking. I go, however, it's not built very good. It's not built like that. But the one sitting next to it, even though it's a couple years old, it is built so by far superior than this brand new Lenovo. And if you guys want to guess which one they bought the Dell laptop based on my recommendation. So I don't think we don't have a problem closing sales. We sell a lot of devices, and we've been getting better at it. I legitimately just have a problem managing the money, and maybe it might just be there's not enough revenue in the business to support everything we're doing. We don't have a problem with selling phones or selling laptops or anything like that. Our only problem is constantly keeping things in stock.
Hey, Chris, I've told you this before because we've talked about your laptops, and maybe the other guys can pitch in and chime in, but I still think you're underselling your laptops like dramatically. I have this Dell Latitude that I sold this customer. It's a 5500, 16 gigabytes of RAM. It's an i5 8th generation. I sold it for $899 with a 3-year warranty in-house to the customer. $899 on top of a $300 annual plan. It was a $1,500 ticket.
Yeah, that might be pitching my
for a $250 computer.
That might be pitching my customer's pocket, but I really do not agree with selling that old of a laptop for that high of a price. Even with the warranty, it would be very hard for me to sell that nice of a laptop.
I have a question for you.
There's also a difference with selling one item per every 30 days or something like that versus selling 30 to 40 items per there. And our profit margin on laptops is at least 150 to 250 per laptop.
What phone do you use personally?
15 Pro Max.
Do you need that phone?
No.
Okay. Why did you buy it?
No specific reason.
Exactly. So do you use that phone for every single feature that it offers?
No, of course not.
Of course not. You use that phone for what? Calling and texting, scrolling on Facebook, whatever. Could you have
Right.
done that with an iPhone 12?
Yeah, of course.
Why don't you?
Like the speed and everything.
Bull. You wanted the new phone. You wanted the new phone. Like, that's what it comes down to. Every year people upgrade, they get the new thing, they want the new thing. That's what it is. When you sell a computer to a customer for $150, that's you buying yourself an iPhone SE instead of the iPhone 15 that do the exact same thing. Like, they do the
Yep.
exact same thing. Why are you selling your customer a $150 computer, but you personally are not going to walk around with an iPhone SE?
I think that for the most part, we tell people the differences. We pull out each computer, we show people the differences, but I think it's up to them to make the decision. That's where
But
I
it's
have.
up to you to price those
Yeah, if I was
devices.
in your shoes, I wouldn't stock a computer less than 350. I mean, that bare minimum, if
Yeah,
you have
no.
something for less than 350, throw it away. Donate it, give it to the women's shelter, whatever. I don't care what you do with
Guys
it.
are killing me right now.
I'm trying to make you more money, brother.
Yeah.
We sell so many computers a month though.
Not
But
Sell for
enough.
how
more.
much?
But you're
Not
doing
enough.
quantity over quality.
No, we're doing quality and quantity.
Are you putting some type of a protection plan on those computers? Are you adding on any
No,
type of a backup and recovery solution for those computers? So you can sell a $150 computer
right,
all day long, but you have a revenue problem.
right.
Uh, and I have a revenue problem, and that's one of the things that I'm going through right now is saying, what is every single thing? I'm in a college town. 90% of my uh, customers are college students. Of those 90% of those college students, 50% of them are broke. The other 40% are using mommy and daddy's money, so it doesn't matter. So we have to sell both. But the one thing that you can easily do, even if you're only selling them a $250, $300 computer, is add on some type of a protection plan, add on some type of a backup and recovery plan. Do things that can add monthly recurring revenue for your business so that you start to build up a monthly revenue stream coming in. I own another company that we does copiers and printers, and our maintenance contract revenue on that is what keeps our entire lights on and every single person paid every single day. It's the maintenance contract. And that's what I'm trying to do now with my repair side of the business is just getting it turned around. So that, and I know what you're saying because we sell a lot of $150, $250 computers, but we're trying to add on all these additional services because you can't keep the lights on if you're only making 50 or 60 bucks off the computer.
Yeah, but I'm not making 50 or 60 bucks off of the computer. I mean, I'm not making $400 profit like Laura, but I mean, that's also why I don't stay in the front that often anymore is because I'm really bad at getting people to buy something that they don't need. So that's why I've walked
Okay, so
away.
you're not a salesperson and you need a salesperson.
We're down to the root cause.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I just give
You
people
need
the
a
options.
salesperson.
You have an A and you have a B and you have a C, and then the customer just says, "Well, which one would you do?" And I ask them for what
But
do
you're
you
not
do?
giving
What do
them
you?
you're not giving them the right options. You're giving them the options that you see grandma in a wheelchair and all you think of is your grandma in a wheelchair, which is not bad, right? We need to be empathetic to our customer base. Like 100%. I'm all about that. But I'm also asking that person qualifying questions. What are
So
you
what you guys
using the
think? You guys
device
think
for?
the daily ticket needs to go up? Is that what you guys are saying? The sale
The average the
ticket?
average ticket value, yes.
So
My
you
average
sold,
ticket value is not less than 225.
and you
Okay.
said
Like,
earlier
Mine
that,
average ticket is 165.
yeah.
yeah. So if you sold a protection plan per computer that you're selling, your average ticket is up easily to 225.
If you sell RAM from 8 to 16, it's up. If they come in and you notice that their device is, they come in for a broken screen, but you also notice that their computer is outdated and could use a tune-up, you're going to sell them a tune-up.
120, 125 would typically be the price. It used to be 100, but we've raised the price from tune-up to
So Chris, how many total tickets did you say you did last month?
somewhere like around 150, somewhere around
Okay,
there.
so
Oh,
take
150,
150, and if you added the same $60 that Nathan's doing, that's an extra $9,000 a month. Just by
Yeah.
taking your ticket value, you're doing the same number of tickets. You're not changing the total number of repairs that you're doing. You're just increasing your ticket value, and by $60 more per ticket, that's $9,000 more per month.
So here's some more metrics so that you guys can understand our metrics a little bit more. For just repairs, and I told you guys we do about 50% in sales, 50% in repairs. It's literally 50-50. Last month was 1,820 in phone repairs. This month was, or sorry, yeah. Let me state that back. Last month was 2,455 in phone repairs. Computer repairs was 6,535. Game repairs was 1,210. And then other repairs was like 859.
So, okay, earlier, this was before I jumped on, but I heard you say you don't stock aftermarket parts for iPhones that are on the newer side.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
So,
but
yes, did not. We just started stocking them, and pretty much up until 13 Pro and higher, we were stocking the premium screens, and then we were stocking every Exo 7 option for anything older, because we don't have customers that care about premium versus Exo 7 for their iPhone 11. We just don't have that.
So here you are selling out of your own pocket in two separate ways on two different planes of thought. With the newer iPhones, you're not stocking aftermarket screens because they're cheap. But on computers, you're stocking all of the cheap. You are on two separate spectrums, and you need to meet somewhere in the middle with both of those things. I realize it's really easy to sell a $199, $225 computer. It's very easy to sell them, but you're not making enough money on them. And then same with an iPhone 15 Pro Max premium screen. I don't know what they are, 380 right now, roughly.
A lot. We've done like 2 since they came out, maybe. I think
because you're too expensive. Get that aftermarket part in, drop the part drop that repair cost by $100. You're making more money, and you're selling more of them.
Yeah. So as soon as the Mobile Centrics RMA comes back, which should be 1,500 something, I was going to use all of that money and buy and stock the parts. That was the idea. Is I was going to buy the rest of the premium screens that I was missing, and then I was going to buy the charging ports that we were missing for iPhones. That way, anything that came in, it was the same thing. I've been told by tons of my mentors, the same thing. When somebody comes in, they're going to the next place if you don't have the part. And I do get that. We get lucky with computers for not having the parts in stock enough. So,
do you offer priority services for computers?
Yes, we do, but Mobile Centrics keeps fucking it up, and we keep having to refund people.
So that's your problem. Quit using Mobile Centrics, right, Josh?
We charge a $35 rush fee, and the repair and the part should get there in about 2 days, and then we get started on it when the part comes in. So we charge a $35 rush fee.
You don't
have those problems too.
I will gladly admit to us forgetting to charge the $35 rush fee if it does not include shipping. So someone says that they need their thing. Honestly, we just do things for people. So I get that we're losing money there. So, maybe we could start charging the 35 more for, people that say they need it done same day, even if we're not doing shipping. I think that's where the guys get stuck, is they charge the 35 if the customer wants overnight shipping, but they don't charge the customer if the customer says, hey, I need this screen done. I need to get back to my college class or something like that. So that's an identified missing key right there as well.
So just a little bit of perspective, because I'm not telling you need to charge a rush fee on everything. So it's just another way for you to add to your average dollar, like we were talking about. So we do $100 rush fee for computer repair, right?
$100?
That guarantees $100. It does not
my God,
applied towards the repair. but you're buying your way to the front of the line to get a diagnostic a lot quicker. And my team sells at least 2 to 3 a day out of each store.
I couldn't say I sell that many, but mine's $70, and that's honestly
ours was 75, and I was like, you know what? Well, we were getting so many, and I was like, shit, let me bump it up to 100 and see what happens.
Yeah,
and
my
we still
average
got
ticket
so many.
turnaround
And I'm
for
like,
computers is 2 to 4 days. So yeah,
Right, so what we're hearing is people need their computers more than they need their fucking phones.
Then charge them more for
sometimes.
it. If they're expecting you to be the fastest in town, you need to charge for that shit.
What's your store name, Chris?
I already thought we were charging pretty high.
What's your store name?
Zip Zap Computers. 4.7 stars on Google.
I just want to chime in because I do have a quick question. I don't offer my customers options on screen repairs.
I don't either.
I don't offer like aftermarket or service packs, whatever. I just go with whatever makes the most sense. Most of the time with the Samsung, I'll get the service pack because there's too much change with the aftermarkets, unless it's just a data recovery. But with the introduction of genuine parts for Apple, and there is a huge gap in price, is anybody offering genuine parts as an option to their customers? And how are you pitching it?
Absolutely. And I would say 3% of them want it. But if you offer it and you say, I can get you an aftermarket part for $199, or I can get you the OEM for $499, they're going to say, I'm going to save $300 and I'm just going to do your cheap option. You're confident in saying it's a good part. It's still a good part. It's an aftermarket part, but how many people go buy aftermarket brake pads for their cars? How many people go buy aftermarket charging cables?
I see. It's not about the scale of your price anchoring to make the
your price anchoring for it. Absolutely.
I do not care about selling a premium screen because I'm making less money. But I will make more money selling the aftermarket part, and they're going to say, wow, this guy was really nice. He didn't screw me by giving me the $500 option right away.
There's just been so many issues with aftermarket parts with the Pro Series. Like, there's just been so many. I know recently
I've never had an issue.
They're great.
I've never had an issue.
Too many people talk in the group, man. They really do.
Yes.
You hear so many bad, you don't hear the good.
Exactly.
People talk too much. They're fantastic.
Yes.
I get little returns on
$48 for a 13. $48 for a 13 Pro Max. What are you guys charging? I would typically use 100 plus the part times 1.2.
200, 250.
Man, there's too many. You need a pricing guide. What was that? 13 Pro Max?
I built a pricing guide, but you guys told me my prices were too low. So I would charge 175 based on the price of the screen.
Who are you
for
using
13
for
Pro
your
Max?
part?
I've got $184.99.
No, 13 Pro Max. 12 Pro Max is like 175 or 200. I can't remember what I have written down.
Who are you using for your parts?
Oh, no, that's wrong.
I'm on mobilecentrics.com. I use mobilecentrics to quote, and then sometimes I buy off of phone LCD parts.
And 13 Pro Max, what is the cost of a part for that?
So if I use the aftermarket, my general rule of thumb is 100 plus the part times 1.2 if we can do the repair in 45 minutes or less. That's generally my rule. So we would be around 185, somewhere around there.
Most people absolutely hate me when I tell them how much I do phone repairs for. A 13 Pro Max I am doing for $300.
God, I can't even do that with a fucking OEM screen.
And I've
got 185 listed, but that seems awfully low to me too.
185 seems low to me too, but then I remember that I'm using a $48 aftermarket screen.
That's all it is?
You're selling out of your pocket. You got to get out of your head. I don't.
Would you not use the rule 100 times 1? Would you not use the rule 100 plus part times 1.2?
No, I use that rule when it is a random phone.
And okay,
but a 13 Pro Max costs $700. Is I think what I sell them for $700. So
I wouldn't get 700 in my market, but
Yeah, we're
But
super
we
high.
wouldn't get 900 for the computer that you sold in our market either, Laura.
No, people
That goes both ways.
market pricings, in my opinion, is just a cop out. People say like, I can't do that in my market. No, you can. You just are not selling to the right customer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would cry before I sold somebody an 8th generation computer for over $500. I'd probably
It's the
cry.
warranty. That's why I sell it for that high.
All right.
Now, if they really are budget conscious, I'll bring it down in price, but then I'm going to drop the warranty.
Maybe it's time for our yearly conversation about how I can implement the warranty that you have. We've only had a call every
You know
single
how
year.
many warranties I've had claimed on all the computers that I've sold in the 3 years I've been open? 0.
That's even better.
0.
I love shitting on you, but I have to go. If you would like,
What do you mean you love shitting on me?
if you would like, I will definitely sit down and talk with you more about this.
Yeah,
my son
seriously.
hockey in 10 minutes. But I think you are in the right space. You just need to sell yourself better. Like you are
Yeah.
losing so much money by not having the correct prices. And it's hard. How many repair shops are around you?
So we have a Boost My Mobile who they mainly do iPhone repairs. They send every computer repair to us. We have
How many repair shops do you have? I just want to know a number. How many do you have?
1, 2, 3, 4 if you include batteries plus.
Okay, tomorrow's Saturday. Monday morning, I want you to call every single one of them and ask them how much they charge for an iPhone 13 Pro Max. That's the phone you just gave us. Ask them how much they charge. If they are charging less than you, they will be gone, I promise. They will not be able to sustain their business model if they're charging less than you. And normally, most places are not using an OEM part. CPR themselves will only use a OEM part when the customer wants it. Other than that, they're using an aftermarket part.
Yep.
I know the district manager of my area, and he said they never stock them.
The
Never
aftermarket.
stock
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Don't sell yourself out of a sale because you want to give the customer the highest grade option when it comes to a phone repair. You said 185 is what you would sell a 13 Pro Max screen for. You can make so much more money than that. I promise you can. And anybody, again, like what Nick said earlier, people in the groups are only there to bitch. These groups are great, but everybody that's in this group is a total dickhead. And I've been in this
like a lot of negative stuff. That's my feedback. I don't want to do a bad repair for a customer and have a customer mad. I see people getting 1-star reviews and having customers call. I'm so scared of that. It's so hard to maintain this perfect fucking reputation. It's hard.
That's where your SOP and that's where you come into play. That's just be a good business owner. Have your employees be good. Issues happen. Who cares? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to fix that for you. It's not your fault if you get a bad part. It's how you deal with it. If the customer comes at you hot, it's, calm them down, replace the part.
one
But
of my
honestly,
one of my businesses, it's called Phone and Fix. We are at a 4.8 star rating on Google. I've been in business for 10 years. I use aftermarket parts. I have 580 reviews. And again, I'm expensive. I just told you I charge $300 for that screen repair. I don't have barely any negative reviews. And the couple negative reviews that I get are okay. It's okay to have negative reviews if you respond appropriately to those negative reviews. If I look at a business and see they have a 5-star rating and have 1,000 reviews and they have a perfect 5-star rating,
Right.
I immediately say, no, that's fake. There's no way. People are pissed about everything. And
Yep.
you will always have you'll have a customer who has a negative experience. It just is what it is. You go to McDonald's and you get a cheeseburger and the cheese is cold, you have a negative experience. It's the way that it is. Nobody's perfect. And it is okay to have negative reviews.
it's
I mean, we
weird.
have I mean, not to toot our horn. One of our stores has got. Sorry, Carl. We're not 5.0, but we
Here we
are
go.
4.9.
Toot, toot.
We're a
I would
4.9
use
with
you. You have one negative star. I would use you.
2028,
Let's go.
4.9, and another location, 1,265, 4.9. And we're
And you
expensive
use
too.
and you use aftermarket parts?
100%.
You're fine, Chris. I gotta go. I will talk to you guys later.
So you guys think that the biggest difference is to make is if we target the ads more toward phone repairs and if I buy more things and if we try to upsell more on like batteries and more on like RAM and things like that.
Yeah,
Here's a
100%.
question I'm genuinely interested. If you guys we charge a $99 cleaning fee for gaming computers. I have a strong time believing even 99 is worth it. Do you guys charge on extra to change thermal paste out? Because I've heard a lot of differences on that.
Yeah,
I
175.
would, because that's a lot of teardown work.
Yeah.
But guess what, Chris? Not only am I replacing their thermal paste, but I'm also doing cable management and I'm cleaning out their fans. I'm scrubbing them down. I'm putting them back in. And that thing's going to look freaking brand new.
So I recently had to tell my techs that they had to stop doing so much work on the $99 cleaning fee. So I was thinking about having a basic cleaning fee and then having an advanced cleaning fee where the advanced is you take all the parts out, you clean them all out, replace thermal paste, everything like that. The basic would be you blow out the dust, make sure that there's no large dust particles. Does that sound like a
That
good
should be
idea?
included in your diagnostic fee.
Really should
General
just be one
cleaning
simple. You shouldn't have
should
two
be included
tiers.
in your general. Yeah. Should be
I
included in your
would, I would
diagnostic fee if they want.
I would highly disagree with cleaning being included in a diagnostic fee. We charge $80 for desktops for diagnostic fees. And we charge 100 for cleanings. Well, okay, actually I guess
Well,
my
for
diagnostic
cleaning,
fee
what I'm
does go
referring to,
towards
what I'm referring to is
that
blowing
fee
it
goes
out,
towards it. Yes.
right? Blowing it out and then wiping it down on the outside.
That's it.
That's it.
No scrubbing, no scrubbing.
That's it. And
I
if
hate
they
my life
decline
right now.
repairs, they're still getting a computer that looks fucking beautiful.
So I'm just doing too much.
100%. Well, you might not be doing too much. You're just not charging enough for the work that you're doing.
We bust our ass for people.
And I believe it.
We bust our literal ass. I care more about the customer having a good experience than I care about a lot of things. So I think I've taken some things down. I don't know what to do about the iPhone pricing because I don't know how I should base my pricing. Do you base your pricing off of your competitor and try to come in lower? Do you try to match the competitor? Do you go higher than the competitor?
Oh,
No,
I
I
go in
go
the
based
middle.
off of what I need to make to keep the business going.
That and I also just kind of meet in the middle. I mean, if somebody is drastically lower than me, try to figure out why. And I try to figure out what exactly is the difference here. Where are they getting their parts? What are they doing? But if there's like
So-
$100 gap, then I do ask some questions. We try to figure out like, okay, what am I missing here? But at that point,
I haven't built a sales
I
process.
anchor-
I haven't built an SOP for when employees call. I built one SOP for if somebody calls for a 14 Pro Max, but it doesn't seem like it's the same conversation. So I haven't figured out how to build an SOP for the employees answering calls and being able to quote something super quick. That's been really hard for me to build.
Hey, I have all kinds of scripts, SOPs, and processes. I'm more than happy to share or work with you on tailoring it to your business. I know for us, I am not $300 for a phone repair. I'm actually much cheaper even than you for that 13 Pro, Chris.
You're cheaper than 185?
I am. But
oh my God. Welcome, brother.
That's my low-hanging fruit. iPhone repair is my low-hanging fruit and an introduction into my business for computer repair, device purchases, business IT support, which guess what, Chris? I just closed $1,000 a month contract with a customer. And that's going to turn into $1,200 after 30 days. A month they're going to be paying. And we got that because they came in and got an iPhone fixed for, $140. They came in, had a great experience. They saw our flyers, talked to the team, and they said, "Oh, hey, you guys do IT support?" we're looking at switching providers. You want to come on by and do an evaluation?
Ooh, I want to hear about that.
So
Because I have the infrastructure already set up, and I've already got the plans that I'm selling. So I'm already set up for something like that. I just need to know how to get the big contract.
Yeah, it's definitely what we did as an introduction. Obviously, we started off small. We started with residential, and we still offer residential. And then we started lower tiers. So we wanted to be like, hey, our target audience is companies with less than 3 computers, right? We wanted to be the most affordable option with the best value for them. And then once we started building more and I needed to add more staff, I'm like, you know what? This is too cheap. Let me up it even higher. And then we upped it even higher. And then we upped it even higher. And then now we're like, okay, what value can we add to this business? True value. And what are they willing to spend? That is still cheaper than a big MSP. Because I don't want businesses that are more than 10 employees, honestly. We have our sister company handles all of that. They handle municipalities, townships,
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I have that's my cap is 10 employees.
And so that's the most that we're going to service. But we're like, okay, well, what other value can we bring? Well, now we're doing VoIP. Now we're doing firewalls. Now we're doing computer replacements. I just quoted and got approval for we did a server for like 20 grand.
We just started branching out into business residential. So we actually almost have our first business client, but they have to have another company, a way more professional company, come in and remove all the other shit that the company before them screwed up because it was just really way
so
above.
You're doing servers. So are you doing like Active Directory?
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that
we're
experience.
Resellers.
That's the problem.
We're resellers for Microsoft 365. We get that commission. And then Chris, you were talking about how you started doing like residential on sites. When you sell a computer,
we didn't start doing residential. We've been doing residential at about 125 an hour, and we have businesses at about 165 an hour. Currently, we're trying to branch more into the business branch. So we have a company right now. I was waiting for payment before I ordered them to $2,000 worth of equipment. And then we're going to go in and set them up an IT room with a TV and conferencing table. So we have that one. And then we had another thing was an air conditioning company. And the company before them added a bunch of shit in their server and a whole bunch of stuff that someone with 10 people less in their company just doesn't fucking need. So they hired another company to come in and clean up. And then they were like, well, Chris, we want you to do this. And I was like, okay, this is a friend of mine too. It's not some random person. And I told them, I was like, you guys understand that I'm going to have to learn this as I go. And they go, well, that's fine. We want to be your first business monthly client. So we're going to start doing monthly maintenances for them and everything like that, which we charge about 165 an hour for, and that's based on local competition, what local competition charges for coming out to people's houses and whatnot.
So do you offer, when you sell a computer, do you offer to deliver and set it up in the client's house? When you sell a computer in store?
Don't usually have that problem because we usually just charge people a data transfer fee / computer setup fee. So on a brand new computer, we'll charge somebody, 35 to walk them through, set up their Microsoft account and all of that. If we're helping somebody in the front, generally we charge $45 for 30 minutes of help, $100 for an hour of help. That's really changed our life. And I was actually going to get a sign that said, we can help you. However, these are our rates, XYZ, because, my guys have to get paid. We don't really
start offering delivery and setup for your older clientele.
For how much is the question. We used to do $45 pickup and drop off fee if we were not setting up anything and not doing anything. We would just pick up the computer, drop it off. $45 seemed reasonable to me. It seemed reasonable to the client. So we had good success with that. We have good success with our $120.
No, I would still charge your hourly rate. I would still charge your hourly rate, and just, pitch it as a setup. Hey, we're moving this data over. Hey, once we're done, do you want us to go ahead and deliver and set it back up for you? Plug everything back in, make sure everything's working out how you want it to. It'll be this much an hour.
And you can include like printer installation and setup, because that's a big one for a lot of people with printers.
And when we do, we'll do I mean, I charge for a new PC setup on site, delivery, data transfer, configuration for residential and businesses. We charge like $500.
You don't have a base hourly rate, but you just charge based
Oh, we
on
do. It's 100 and so I charge $150 an hour for business and residential.
Sure.
And $50. My guys are leaving. And then $50 one time for a trip if it's within a 30-minute radius. Anything. So I charge $50 for every 30-minute radius. So if they're an hour away, they're getting charged $100 on top of my hourly rate. Why?
Okay.
Because that time, you're thinking of time as on site. What about the travel time? What about the time that it takes you to drive to that client? What about the time that it takes you to return from the client? That's time that no money's being made. And that's wear and tear on your vehicle.
Yeah.
For me,
something's got to help pay for the salary. I mean, think about it. On-site work is great if you are setting yourself up for things like managed services or have enough revenue generating from it coming in to justify the expense. But if I sent a technician on site, I should have just kept him in the store. Honestly, he could have made me more money in that hour and a half to 2 hours of being on site.
I don't disagree with that one bit. I usually do the on-site calls currently. So you said you price your repairs more than me. So do you use a formula to price your repairs? Do you charge more for a fan replacement versus a battery replacement versus that, or do you just have a flat rate plus your part?
Good question. So I know what we need to make on an hourly basis. I know how long each item takes. So I'll set flat rates for certain things. But then I'll also say, okay, at minimum, I need to be charging X. But let's see what the community is willing to tolerate. And so we'll base our price off of that. Like, Laura was saying that, she charges, what was it, like 150 for a clean install? We were charging 150
standard. Yeah. Standard repairs.
Yeah, we were charging 150.
But what about like a battery replacement? And the reason why I'm kind of scared to charge more is
do I need to remove the motherboard?
What?
If I have to remove the motherboard?
No. Let's just say a simple HP battery. Your battery cost is $55.
I'm charging an hour of shop labor because I'm not only changing the battery, I'm also running full diagnostics on the machine.
Mm-hmm.
So 175?
Oh no. That 175 was for something else. We'll charge like 135.
Oh, I'll charge 150 plus part, and that part will be $60.
You're charging less than me. I charge 100 plus the part times 1.2 on computers, except for if we have to include removing.
Oh no, 135 is just the labor. That doesn't include the part.
Okay, well there we go. So
I have my parts priced off of my gross margin goal. So I'm like, hey, I want to be at 70% gross profit margins.
I just think it's hard to compare because they're not all the same price. That's the issue. You have a battery that's $30, then you have a battery that's 75, and then you got some.
That's why you have a scaling. That's why you have a scaling calculator. Like if the price for this part is this, then putting it through the markup calculator, it ends up becoming this.
Yeah. And that's the lower, that's the 20%. The
lower the price. Oh no, I don't think any of my stuff is 20%. Well, I also include like some labor into my COGS just because of the way that our business is set up and structured. Like I have labor on my profit and loss. I have labor. I've got a labor section. Those are services. I have my parts section. And then in cost of goods, I have the same setup, right? So I got labor up top, parts in the bottom, and then labor, and then labor and then parts. And that helps me.
I'm gonna have to change out.
So one thing
pricing structure.
one thing I'm gonna be implementing because I'm POSs is standard a SKU for standard PC components. So I'll have a SKU for a 512 SSD, a 512 NAVMe or M.2 SSD, and 1 TB RAM, laptop battery, and I'll just do flat rate price for each of those.
I do
kind
the
of a
same.
ballpark, kind of like a ballpark cost, and then a flat rate price as because laptop batteries can range anywhere from 25 to 40.
Yeah.
I'm going to charge $60 flat rate. That's just the same on each
That's
one.
different.
Except for
Yeah.
MacBook batteries, I'll probably charge like $100 on MacBook batteries.
That's what I
Yeah,
did
so
with
like
the
we'll
repair
I mean
app
we'll
is I
charge
created a SKU guide just like that, where it has the base price that it should be. The price should not be lower than the base price is what I thought, but it sounds like my base price is just too fucking low anyway.
Yeah, I mean what would you charge for a 1 TB SSD?
1 TB SSD? Let's see how quick I can
I want to say it's gonna be like 120, but
270. Depends on if I'm moving data.
That's just the part cost. That's just the part cost.
Yeah. That's what I'm asking for, Chris. What do you charge as far as the cost of the part is concerned?
Whatever it's in my case for. We've got 1 TB for $79.99.
And what are those PNYs?
Crucial. I don't use
Okay.
any other brand of SSD.
Got it. Yeah, I charge 175.
For the part?
Yeah, just for the part.
What?
There it is. 120. Yeah, 120 is what I was charging, and that's for that. And then for the SSD, 140.
So we have two sides of our business, and it's probably not like other people where we also sell our parts as well. So we'll sell graphics cards, motherboards, and things like that. My thought is, I don't know how we're going to sell that 1 TB SSD when they could go 5 minutes down the street at Best Buy and find it for almost $100.
Why are you trying to be a Best Buy?
Yeah, don't compete with them, and tell the customer that I won't compete with Best Buy. You are more than welcome to go down there.
Why? Yeah,
provide that price, but that's your warranty.
Does that feel like I would lose customers at some point because that's like $100 more than the competition?
Why am I going to sell them a part? Why am I going to sell them a part? Like, are you talking about them coming in and saying, "Hey, I want to buy a 1 TB SSD"?
I was asking about that, and then you asked me what I charge for the actual part when I'm doing my.
Oh, you're talking about for repair.
No, I'm talking about for both.
So I'm not going to sell it. If you come in off of the street, I'm not going to sell it to you. Just
are you
point
guys?
blank.
Are you guys? You guys might be talking.
We don't do that.
Talking about 175 for just the SSD.
Yes, 179 for just the SSD.
Not install, not data transfer either.
Correct.
How the fuck? Well,
so
I mean, if you don't sell the part.
I'll tell you. Yeah, if they come in off of the street, I'm not going to sell them the part alone. Like if they say, "Hey, I want a 1 TB SSD," I'm not going to sell it to them. But if they come in and we say, "Hey, here's how I'll do it. I'll give you a call. So, hey, Chris, this is Nathan calling for Computer Warriors. Wanted to reach out to you. So we ran diagnostics. Unfortunately, it does look like that your drive is failing. Right. I'm not sure how much data you have on there because unfortunately it hit the dust. Terribly sorry about that, but we could definitely get you taken care of. Right. So one of the things that I would like to do is use this as an opportunity to upgrade you to a drive that's a lot more newer. It's going to be a lot more reliable, and it's going to be a heck of a lot faster. So think of it like you're going from a Honda to a Ferrari. Your current drive, think of that like a record player in a sardine can. It's mechanically operated. So over time, those parts are going to wear down. So what we're going to be replacing that with is like a modern day iPhone. It's going to be a lot quicker to respond. It'll open up your programs a lot faster. And I noticed that you had a 1 TB hard drive. So, I definitely would love to, keep you at that 1 TB space or that capacity. I think that that's going to do a lot of value for you. And on top of that, all of our repairs, just so you know, come with a 1-year warranty against any part defective issues. So, the best part of that, Chris, is if you have any issues with the part that we install, go ahead and give me a call. I'll take care of it for you at no additional cost. So parts and labor, after we take your diagnostic fee out, right, because you paid that diagnostic fee, it comes off the total cost of the repair. And after tax, you're looking at about, $299.55. Is that something you want to go ahead and get done today?
All right, you said 255 for a 1 TB SSD? You guys
Parts
do
and labor
something,
is
you guys do something different than I
$299.55.
do. You guys charge more for the part and then charge less for your labor. I charge less for the part and charge a lot more for labor. I'm right around the same price. I think I'm about 260 or 270 if I'm transferring data as well. Usually just a
Yeah.
simple clone with Macrium. So I think that there's two different ways of looking at it. We also structured ourselves as a PC store as well, not just repair shop. So we sell those SSDs. So I wanted to be able to sell those SSDs blank to customers that wanted them. But our formula for
Okay.
that is whatever the accessory is times 1.3 is my rule if it's sitting in the case. I got to make 30% on it. So on a
So then
$60,
question, why are you trying to become an IT provider as well?
it's just that's how I started my that's just how I started my business, and it's just kind of what happened. We would part computers out and make, a ton of money. And then we found that if we just had the SSD sitting in the back, that it would do us better to have the SSD sitting in the case, that someone could buy the part if they wanted to, and they could also do the repair if they wanted to. And then we just grab it out of the case if
How
we
often
wanted
do
to.
people, how often are people actually buying those parts?
Like probably like two or three a month. Not, it doesn't really hurt, but it doesn't really, provide, I guess, a certain big value. We're still doing SSD installs. It's slowed down a lot because a lot of people have SSDs nowadays. So it's definitely slowed down a lot versus, 2 years ago. SSD installs were huge.
Oh
We
yeah,
find that a lot of
I
people don't
agree.
have hard drives anymore. You know,
No, definitely. I agree with that. But you also want to look at the type of drive that they come in with. So we have a list
I think that there's
of,
something to be said about the upsells. I'm really gonna talk to my team about, talking to people about the people who have just basic Intel SSDs and have, the Optane storage that loves to just fail. You sound like a computer guy. You and I can be really good friends. You're like Laura and I. Yeah, I think I just need to figure out the pricing. If you guys said I'm
Do
too,
you,
if you guys,
Nathan, do you have a operations like sheet online or anything?
not, I mean, we have a lot of stuff underneath our SharePoint, but
Oh, okay.
when you say operations sheet, what do you mean?
Well, like
Mean?
I just wasn't sure if you had like a shareable like diagnostic or like check-in form thing that you have or anything that you could share
Oh,
through or your kind
possibly.
of diagnostic
you
process.
guys have
'Cause I'd be
you guys have
interested.
people
I'm always
sign forms?
interested to see what other people are doing for tune-ups and just standard diagnostics because it changes from every person I ask.
Valid question. For tune-ups for
Yeah.
me, tune-ups is really simple for me. Malware
Tune-ups
bytes.
aren't a real thing anymore. So I laugh at the verbiage of it because
I
it's like
disagree with that. You say tune-ups are
I
not a real
I
thing.
kind of disagree with that because even though Windows is trying their best to handle a lot of it, there is still a lot that gets missed. A lot. I
oh,
mean,
I
just
agree with
Intel
that fact,
drivers
but
and
yeah.
Tune-ups are we raised the price from $100 to 125 for tune-ups for a number of reasons. One, it has gotten progressively harder to actually repair Windows and deal with Windows versus just reinstalling Windows. Even
Oh,
reinstalling
absolutely.
Windows has been a disaster lately. I don't know, like, have you guys have heard about the horror stories with 22, 24H2 or whatever with Windows 11 or something, blue screening people's computers and
yep.
whatnot? So it's been quite a headache to deal with Windows lately. I would rather fucking rip a sandwich board apart from a 12 Pro Max than I would rather install Windows at this point. Windows is just, it bugs me so much to deal with Windows. So I mean, people absolutely need tune-ups. People have viruses. People might not have an actual virus on their computer, but they have a notification coming from Google Chrome that says, "Hey, you have a virus on your computer. Click me." That's a virus in their head. That's a tune-up. I might not be
Yeah.
charging a for it though.
Is this a standards? Yeah, so here it is. I found the document. Sorry, it took me a minute. For drives, there are, let's see, ADATA, XPG, Silicon Power,
Please don't tell me those are
APACER,
the options that you give customers for install. Please tell me those are
Solid,
recommended upgrade at
Intel
that point.
Optane. No,
I don't even ask
this
my
is the
customer.
list. These are the
Oh.
list of drives that are known to fail.
Oh,
Damn, you have that. You have a list for
So
that?
if they come in and their computer has one of these brands in it, we
Yeah.
will immediately recommend replacement, even if it's not failing. Why? Because we see a shit ton of them.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I agree with that. I don't know why we haven't been thinking that way. We even tell people, this drive fucking sucks. Why did you buy this for your gaming computer?
And do you guys partner with anybody for data recovery?
Uh, well, like iPhone data recovery?
Like a referral partner like Gilware, where you can ship it off, give the customer your referral code, and then Gilware
I
sends you a check.
mean, it doesn't happen a whole lot because honestly, people don't really like the prices for hard drive data recovery. And SSD data recovery is not a super likelihood of repairing it. But yes, we use Jacob Kona, whatever the fuck his name is, in the group, and we've only sent a few to him just because we don't get a lot of those. It's mainly a cost thing. People just realize that their data is not worth $500 to $700.
Hmm.
Do
See,
you get the opposite?
yeah, we get the opposite. And in fact,
Really?
we get it so much that we are officially now partners with Gilware, not just from the referral side. We've been partners with them on the referral side for years, but we even have one of their machines in our store that does the data recovery software scans.
And
Yeah,
I don't know what that is.
I set up.
We tell people we can send
So
your
we
phone
plug it
data
in.
recovery. Yep.
Yeah, so where they bring it into us, we go into the back, we plug it into Gilware's machine. We let Gilware know, hey, you got a drive hooked up, and they'll remote in and do their
Oh,
thing. $350 later, bye bye.
oh, okay. So you can actually. What are you doing when read heads fail and whatnot, and they ask to be sent to like a clean
Shipping
room
them off
environment?
to Gilware, shipping them off to Gilware directly.
So how are you closing? So how are you closing those deals? Because I find that people just don't want to pay a lot of money for their data. I mean, I definitely had my fair share of
I mean,
people
if
who have
they're
sent
gonna
their phone out.
if they're okay paying $350 for us to try to do a data recovery,
Yeah.
and it has to be beyond that, more than likely, we're like, hey, it's a free quote. We can ship it off. Free quote. If you like their price, great. You're looking at about $500 to $700, maybe even more. Are you okay with that? Sure.
I think that there's definitely some things that I'm
That's interesting
100%
about the
that
Gilware. I actually had a contact. I spoke to somebody with Gilware, but I've been using a guy out of Colorado mailing it out. He's a little bit cheaper. And I charge like $450 for data recoveries, and I make about a $200 profit off of it. But
Yeah.
Right, so I'm the lowest price
I
for data
like the
recovery.
speed of that with Gilware. That's really
Yeah.
nice. So
Yeah,
I'll
because
have to
they
look
have
into that.
yeah, because unlike like Recuva, like all of those third party programs that are running on Windows, their
Yep.
software is strictly like their software is strictly proprietary and
Right.
built. So it's not as intense as, and it doesn't lock up the drives
Is it
like a
much better?
Windows
Is
or
it much better than Recuva and all of the other ones? Because I have like three or four
100%,
different programs.
1000%. And I don't have to do, none of my techs have to do any work. All they have to do is plug it up to the machine. They reach out to Gilware and say, hey, do your thing. Now, again, because Gilware is building a machine, investing in the business, there has to be a demand for it in your area. Like
Sure.
they have a Google business profile that shows that they're in my store, and they run ads to it.
Gotcha.
Can I switch the subject just a little bit, Nathan? Because I'm actually curious.
I just gotta drop off. So, but I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much.
One thing I think I've always had a problem with, me pitching things as well. I'm gonna hop off here soon too. I really appreciate all the help. I have a lot of work to do now. But I'm curious, when you ask a customer, you say, hey, do you want an SSD upgrade? Do you want a RAM upgrade? I mean, and you're asking them, do you want insurance? Do you want insurance? Do you want screen protectors? How does that conversation go? Because that's why we don't ask people emails, because it feels like when I'm checking someone in, we're asking all this fucking shit, and all of a sudden it's just, do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? How do you get away from the I don't even know honestly what question I'm asking, but do you kind of get what I'm saying a little
Yeah,
bit?
I definitely do. I think it's all about perspective, like your own individual perspective of, first of all, what the information is being used for. Second of all, um, like ethically, I I'm not just a guy that throws core values on the wall. Like a lot of our core values that we actually sat down and wrote out are near and dear to my heart. And At the end of it, we want to make sure that we are being truthful to these customers, providing that outstanding customer service. You and I are alike in that sense where, I want to make sure that these people that are coming in are being taken care of. And so what we've kind of done is, and it took me a while to truly understand it and think about it in the sense that I'm not just trying to nickel and dime these people and squeeze every penny out of them, because what I am doing is I'm actually future proofing their device. And I'm not going to offer them something that is going to hinder, I'm not just going to offer them something that is going to,
do nothing.
Just to pull money out of their pockets, right? So like we'll have specific checklists, we'll have specific questions that we ask when they check in the device. We'll look at, based off of what we see, like, hey, like that's why now our common standard is 16 gigs of RAM, because a lot of us assumed, right? We always assume, and it bites us in the ass later, but we always assume that, hey, this device or sorry, we always assume that they don't need more than 8 gigs of RAM. I was a firm believer in all of that. And then when I started digging into the data that I had from my own customers through my PSA tool, I was like, oh my God, what the hell are we doing? Like, why aren't we, like, they're talking about performance issues and their memory is constantly pinging at 90% all the time. Why aren't we doing these things? Why aren't we making these recommendations? And so we built kind of like a best practice sheet. And now when we talk to customers, we say, hey, we have 2 options for you. Like, look, at minimum, when we approach our conversations and we talk about our options, we say, hey, look, because my job is to educate them. Our mission is to, we have a very simple mission statement. It's to help eliminate their technical frustrations through repairs and creative solutions while educating them on how they can leverage their technology to stay connected to their world.
Sounds like
if I truly believe that, then I'm going to take the time to thoroughly understand, hey, during diagnostics, this is what we saw. This is why we would love to recommend it to you. So because of that, here is option A. This is the preferred option. And then the least preferred option, at minimum, you can get away with this. Which option do you want to go with?
I could definitely see how that would
It's taking the time, and that's how my technicians are so good at it. It's because I don't have to train them to sell. I have to train them to educate.
My techs are good at educating, but I don't think we charge for the education.
And that's still a problem. I'm not going to pretend like it's not. I still have technicians that come out and waste over an hour with a customer and not charge them an in-shop consultation like they're supposed to. But that customer also will leave us a 5-star review, or they'll bring donuts to the team, or they'll come back and refer other people. So there's situational. But when you start giving away your entire, when it gets to the point where you're at that next step trying to punch through, right? And you're like, how am I going to get to the next level? That's when you take a step back and you're like, okay, maybe we do need to start charging for this. And it's not for being greedy. It's not for being, it's not for being greedy. It's not for trying to take money out of somebody else's mouth, or take food out of somebody else's mouth. It's not only that, but dude, like, if you're trying to grow and you're trying to build something that's going to be around for a while, and your customers appreciate and love you, they're going to understand.
Yeah, we've definitely built that reputation up where I feel like we have a lot of customers that would probably be okay with us.
Like, if you're like, I can't bump, I can't push through. It's like, well, look, we have in-shop consultations. We can do delivery and setups. We can, I want to, educate you on increasing RAM, do thermal, whatever it is, right? Screen protectors. I mean, shoot, that's a part of our check-in process. Like, hey, after the repair is all said and done, let's help you mitigate this risk from happening again in the future. We got the screen protector. It costs X, comes with, Y warranty. Do you want to go ahead and get that thrown on today? Sure. Awesome. Go ahead and do it.
What do you use for batteries on laptops?
Good question. We use OEM.
No. Well, yeah, that. We try to use as close to OEM as we can. I meant the application where you can choose, you can decide if a battery is bad or not. It's a battery info view.
Oh, yeah. So one of the tools that we use, and it's not always 100% correct. So sometimes we have to look at a couple others, but we use Malwarebytes Toolkit.
Malwarebytes Toolkit.
Hmm.
That's the business version of Malwarebytes, right?
Yeah, and that's where you can buy and resell licenses for those. We don't really use the licensing portion for reselling their Malwarebytes because I mean, even though we could, we have our own antivirus, so that we resell to and manage our PSA tool. So I don't see a need for it, but that's one of the resources that we use. And then we built in a couple of it has the ability for you to actually implement other tools and build other apps inside of it. So our team has done a really good job of doing that.
Okay. Thanks for all your advice and everybody else
Yeah,
that's
no, absolutely. I'm always excited for these calls. I think that we can, everybody can learn from everybody else. I mean, one of the areas that I'm trying to work on to improve is device sales. I mean, we do computers, but we don't do phones. We don't do tablets. We don't do game consoles. And I imagine that if we start, that could help us, that's the barrier that we can break through.
I just don't know how to I just don't know how to price my devices. I don't want to price them the same as Amazon. I don't want to price them the same as Swappa. I don't want to price them the same as eBay, but it feels like I'm making a lot, but it feels like I'm making a little bit. It's hard to figure out that right market, especially for an eighth generation computer, that's how many years old? Six years old?
Yeah, I mean, we do. So our refurbished devices, and I don't want to get into our pricing too much because obviously we didn't sign any NDAs or anything like that. But we have and we have set we have a set profit margin that I want to make that I expect to make on a refurbished computer. Obviously, if I buy it directly from a customer, that percentage is more. And then on a brand new machine, that percentage is less. Why? Because I can't compete with Best Buy. I can't compete with Walmart. But my customers know that they're going to pay a little bit more by coming to us because we're going to deal with the
We'll
headache
take
of
care of
everything
them.
else. And I'm
We'll
going to
take
take care of them. So I can't charge the same, I can't mark up my brand new products like I can my refurbished products. But I'm okay
Yeah,
with
that's
that
how I
going
feel.
into it. But I'm okay with that going into it. But I'm also getting labor in addition to that as well. So I'm also getting a new PC setup. I'm also getting a data migration, a clone to dissimilar hardware, because those are two different types of labor codes. If I'm cloning from the same computer or drives to the same computer, that's one. But if I'm going to dissimilar hardware, like I'm going from an HP to a Dell, there's a lot more involved. Now I got to undo all of the Dell drive or all of the HP drivers. Now I got to redo all of the Dell drivers. I got to make sure all of the software works and that it's
That's right.
compatible.
So you charge a
There's
different price based on that. It's not
Yeah,
just a
un-
clone.
correct. It's a clone to dissimilar hardware. And then we also will bundle in, like, so if they're coming in for a screen replacement and I see that they also can benefit from a tune-up, then we have a discounted bundled labor rate that allows us to knock out both at and they don't have to pay, an arm and a leg. But that helps increase the average ticket value.
I sent you a PM. I would be really interested to kind of see how your computers SOPs line up because I felt like I was
Yeah.
doing pretty good with computers, but it seems like I could probably do a bit better.
And there's probably some stuff that I can learn from you in that area as well. I mean, we've done definitely. But all right, man. Well, hey, I got an hour drive home, so I
Just
will
like
have to talk
me.
to you later.
You're like an
Yeah.
older me. I drive 45
I got
minutes here and back.
Yeah, I got one. So I don't so for me, honestly, I don't answer the phones. I don't check I just like coming into the store to be around the team because
Interesting.
if they see the boss sweeping, whatever. I like being around the team. And I got kids at home that are homeschooled. and they annoy the shit out of me, and I can't get any work done. So, so I
I'm gonna
like going
start
into the
working from
stores.
home more soon. As soon as my employee gets his car, I'm gonna start probably taking a
I,
couple
I
days off during the week.
Yeah, I mean, if you're motivated enough for that, if I work from out of the office, it has to be like at a coffee shop or something. Because if I'm at home, I'm not going to want to do anything. Like the weekends are my time to unplug and just do whatever. But
I think that's a fair statement.
yeah, I mean, if you're already in high level, I'd love to show you some things in there too. It's there's a lot. I'm actually getting ready to turn on a voice AI that whenever
I have
customers
been
call into
building
the
my
store,
own scripts. I've been building my own scripts for creating, inventory tags, and I've been building a script so when you click it, it opens up Furmark and Prime 95, and we can start stress testing a computer with one button. I've been trying to
nice.
make things easier, but computers are difficult. They're not all the same.
That is true. That is true. And you're using what software do you use to keep track of your tickets?
My repair app with Tony Tushnik. I actually met him in Vegas, and he told me
Got
about
it.
this POS he was building, and then bam, it happened. It's
Nice. Yeah,
really
I'm
good.
still using Repair Shopper.
Isn't that the one that people are just like really iffy about right now?
They're iffy about it because of the whole AI stuff. Um, I embrace AI because it's the wave of the future. It's going to help improve the quality of businesses, and if it's used correctly, then it could definitely make a huge impact. Like I use one of my PSA tools is, or yeah, not RMM, but PSA tools is AutoTax. It's what we use for our ticketing system for our B2B IT services, our on-site and remote services, right? There's AI built into that. That whenever a ticket gets triaged, my dispatcher looks at it, says, okay, go here, 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 send. It dispatches and the system automatically schedules it on the technician's calendar and knows who to schedule it to, when to schedule it, how to schedule it. And then guess what? If an emergency situation comes up, now it's redoing their entire schedule for them. They don't even have to deal with that. And I don't have to pay for a dispatcher and a service coordinator because the dispatch portion is taken care of, so I can cut that expense out. Now I just got to deal with the service coordination. So my VA, can easily pivot to focusing more on service coordination, which provides a better service to our customers.
You run things very similar to you run things very
So
similar. I want to run things.
So I like organization. I like leveraging automation as much as we possibly can. I mean, I don't know how much automation you could do with my repair app, but like we had an issue where one of my technicians forgot to change the status to, I don't know, diagnostic started. So what happens as a workflow, ticket comes in, technician grabs the device, puts their name, diagnostic started, it triggers a message out to the customer, changes it to in progress, updates the due date. It's this whole thing, right? Well, I kept on having an issue where the technicians kept on forgetting to put it as not diagnostic started. Customers were calling in like, "Hey, what's going on?" So then, like even this morning, we were like, "Hey, let's fix that. Let's create an automation to where, as soon as you add it to your name, the system, if a ticket comes in as new and you add it to your name, the system changes the status. The system sends out the message. The system updates the due date." So obviously, I'm not saying that my technicians are lazy. They're not. They just have a shit ton of work to do. Like when I was talking about my labor rate, when I was talking about so my technicians, they get paid a base, and I'm not going to go over all of this in detail over a live stream, but they get paid a base and then they get paid what's called a production bonus. That production bonus is based off of their minimum threshold. Like, look, your base covers you. If you want to earn more, you have to learn more, you have to work faster, you have to earn more, you got to make more money for the business, which in turn will make more money for you, right? That's kind of my piece back to them. So
right.
So we say, hey, here is here is the minimum that you have to meet, because my goal is I want a direct labor efficiency ratio of 4.0, which means for every dollar that I spent, I'm getting $4 back. So in order for me to meet that, they have to, they have that percentage. And it's not just based off of taking your average base, or it's not based off of just taking their base, multiplying it by 4 and calling it a day. There's a lot more involved with that formula where it takes into consideration, the benefits that you pay. If you pay benefits, how much is their time being utilized? Are they at 100% capacity? Well, no, because you have lunches, you have time off, you have fuck around time, you have meetings. There's all kind, so they're not ever going to be at 100% utilization. They might be at 80% or 86% utilization. So then that gets put into the formula. And at the end, it'll spit out a result that says, hey, well, they need to earn, at minimum, they should be making the company this much money, at minimum. And then if they go beyond that, I'm going to give them a commission off of that. And I'm going to do, whatever the percentage is. I think it's like 5% of total revenue, not off the gross margin, but total revenue. So I got a guy that, I've got a guy who brings in, and I think if anybody would be listening to this, it would be him. So I don't think he would care if I share, as long as it's not his name. But I got a guy who brings in close to like $65,000 a year off of just being a badass.
Okay.
Because he pushes work out like it's crazy, and he loves it.
Okay.
And then I have another guy who's a little upset because he's not hitting his goals, and he's not able to make more, but he needs more money. Well, sorry, can't hit your goals. I can't pay you more.
Yeah, I need to learn how to be a boss.
There's different stages in the business. It takes about 10 years to become an expert in anything, or to get close to being an expert in anything.
Yeah, I had no managerial experience, and I went into owning my own business 4 years ago.
And that's fine. I would encourage you to do, I mean, definitely encourage you to do a lot of stuff, but, baby steps, really. I think the first step would be to honestly figure out kind of where you want to, we talked about it at the beginning of the year, goal setting, right? Where do you want to be? And then back up from there. So my goal is, I want to have 2 locations at $3 million by 2027. So how do I get there? Well, now I have to figure out now I got to figure out, what does that look like? What does the business look like? If I was to talk to a business coach on January 1st of 2027, what would I tell them the business look like? Well, maybe we're wholesale or partners with manufacturers to do their warranty repairs, right? Maybe we sell maybe half of our revenue is in sales, half of it's in repairs. Our MRR would be at $100,000. Whatever all of that looks like. And then you could say, okay, well, if that's your goal, then what do you have to do in 2025? Like, what does that look like? And then you're like, okay, well, at the end of 2025, this is where the business is at. This is the revenue. This is the team. This is the blah, da, 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 da. Okay, now let's break it up into chunks. What do you have to do in Q1 to make sure you're on track to hit your goals?
Yeah, I think this is the thing I really just haven't thought about. In average, I've really just wanted to make 30,000 a month because it felt like we got close to that 30,000 a month every single month, but didn't quite hit it. So that's been my goal for the last year, is 30,000 a month. We've only hit it 1 month. And I don't know if that's,
and it could be that you're not thinking, and maybe it's that you're trying to chase down that 30, that it's put a blockade in front of you.
That's kind of what I'm starting to realize.
I think where we need to start is figuring out where you want to be. If you and I are in the middle of a conversation, January 1st of 2027, what does the business look like? And then we could work our way back from there.
Business is kind of the same as you, probably about two stores, and not working myself, and probably moving on to whatever venture I'll move on to, and just letting the businesses run themselves. I have no intention of selling it, but I would love to, see the business run itself. So,
and I don't think that you'll be able to 100% get out. Oh, yeah. You'll have to find, you'll have to be there to mentor, to coach whoever's running the stores. So you're never going to be 100% out, I don't think, if you want to keep it. Now, if you're looking to sell it, that's a different story.
Yeah.
If you're looking to keep it, to be passive income,
Only
to help.
time will tell.
But yeah, exactly. But I think where you need to start is figuring out where you want to be in 2 years, and then working your way back from there. And
That's
if you want,
actually
I can
that's
help.
actually a
I can
good
help you
question.
figure that out.
I haven't thought about I haven't thought about long-term goals for a really long time. This has been a long time since I've thought about long-term goals, and I don't have
It's
any goals.
hard. It's hard, but I would definitely encourage you to start looking at, okay, where do you, not where is the business necessarily, where is Chris at, and what does he want by January 1st of 2027? At least 3 years, right? 3 years out, we can work on that, because we say, okay, here's what it is. This is where we need to be. And if you want to jump on a meeting sometime and I can go through kind of where I landed to kind of give you a little bit of insight into us, that's fine. But I think
I think I'm gonna go
that's
look
where a
over
good
my
starting
computers
point.
and figure out which computers are at 8 gigs of RAM and which computers have. I think that's what I'm gonna actually go do when we get off the call.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, listen, like I said, I got an hour, so
Yes.
my wife's already messaging me wondering where I'm at. So I will talk to you later.
Drive safe, man. Thank you.
All right. Bye.